And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It's the NBA Deeper Dive, Monday, March 24th. I don't know what time it is. I'm Josh Engleman, by the way, completely unable to tell time. Need a digital clock. No analogs around here. Joined by Chris Spags. He's right here. We're going to break down a 6-game slate on DraftKings, an 8-game slate on FanDuel. We have a boatload of injury news. We've got crazy value today. And your boy Quentin Grimes not going to be a part of today's slate. I actually liked him earlier today, so it was going to be an interesting discussion. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow us both on Twitter. What's going on, Spags? How was your weekend?
It's a good weekend. Another weekend with the wife out of town, so it's solo dad duty, including right now. Luca's currently watching Cars 2 right outside my studio as we hope that he doesn't barge in and interrupt the stream. But it's a fun slate. It's an exciting slate. Josh, I finished top 15 on Friday in the 4-point play with Quentin Grimes. I will say, unfortunately for that slate, even though Quentin Grimes had a great day for me, I was a 1v1, or technically a 2v2 swap with Grimes and somebody else in from actually being in first place. So that wasn't my fave, but I was ready to tout Grimes again too. I had him for 52 fantasy points. I'm bummed we don't get to play him today.
Yeah, that's probably too many, but
nope.
You know, he looked like a better play than he has in the past. It helps when the slate looks a little bit different, value's a little bit different. The slate's shorter, but he was showing up in like 20% of lineups when I did my show earlier today. Slightly different now that he is not going to be a part of today's game. Do you want to just break this one down? Because there are some spots where I think we're going to have to spend too much time, and there are some spots where I don't think we're going to have to spend all that much time.
No, it's a weird slate. It's frankly the weirdest slate for me too, because obviously FanDuel, my priorities are usually DraftKings. 2 best plays in the slate are FanDuel only plays today / DK late slate plays. And besides that, I've got nobody above 50 fantasy points on the slate. So like, it's a weird one, but yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I'm curious to go game by game and get into it. And FanDuel people, you got a more fun slate than DraftKings does today.
You have nobody over 50 fantasy points.
No, not for the DK slate. No.
Am I just thinking of this slate incorrectly, or is that crazy to me? No, that's crazy. How do you don't have Luka over 50?
Luka, because he and LeBron, like the rates don't really support, like when they're together, they're both around like 49 and change for me.
Tough scene for Luka Doncic today, folks. And we'll see if we're going to be getting to him or not, because we have an immense amount of value, and we're going to start by breaking it down. The Minnesota Timberwolves. Unfortunately, not that interesting of a team. They are 1.5-point dogs in Indy today. We have a 228 total. This is sort of like a middle of the pack total. It's a middle of the pack pace. It's just kind of like a game today. We are waiting on news for Benedict Mathurin, who is questionable on the Indy side. We are waiting on news from Minnesota, Anthony Edwards, who is questionable. He's also the only guy getting any love. He's 17% owned on DraftKings. He's 14% owned on FanDuel. Call it 15. We got him basically 15% optimal on both sites as well. And then not a ton of ownership coming into the rest of Minnesota. So let's start with if Edwards is in. What do you want to do with the Timberwolves?
I'm getting Anthony Edwards about 16% here because I don't have anybody too highly projected. He's the kind of player we're getting a little bit of here, feeling okay about it. The matchup versus Indiana, I'm a little surprised the total's not better overall for both sides, but Minnesota is a little bit of a defensively minded team, obviously, as we've talked about, and Josh has beaten home the point up throughout the strategy show throughout the year as well. So really only getting Ant now. If Ant were out, I think it becomes a new conversation for pretty much everybody else. But as it is, to me, Anthony Edwards, one of those pay-up options to get to. Not quite as good for me as a Josh Giddey. Have him projected a little bit more favorably today relative to the price and all that. But I expect them to be competitive in this game versus Indiana. So, like, I think projection's light, but obviously 4 quarters of work here in a tournament like this, slate like this, I think you're going to feel pretty good about Ant overall.
Yeah, I got to 13%, so like right around the field. He ranks 16th on the DraftKings side. I think he looks totally fine. And if you end up with some shares of Julius Randle or any of the other guys that play some real minutes, I think that's fine too. What do you want to do here if Ant ends up out? Because then I think we see a lot more minutes to Nickeil Alexander-Walker, potentially more to Dante DiVincenzo. The touches for Julius Randle have to look a little bit better. Jalen Clark probably sees some more time. What do we do if we get no Ant?
Yeah, I think the DiVincenzo one is one that would intrigue me the most right now, with him being about a 5x value for me currently. If you take Ants out, redistribute the stats accordingly, like he'll look like a better play to me. I think at his price tag as well, we could actually have a little bit of a ceiling there. Conley looks okay to me, but the minutes have been down for him. Feels like they want to maybe preserve him for the playoff run, whatever they're going to do there. So not sure that I'm buying in on him, but I do think he would look better. Alexander Walker getting more minutes, I agree, would look better. But I think Randall would be the big winner in terms of usage and all of that. McDaniels as well. I feel like I always get a little bit more when a guy like Ant's out because rates increase enough for him to get a slightly more usage and the minutes stabilize a little bit more, than as if they need it. But he already looks good as it is, I think. But if Edwards is out, I think he looks better. But I think everybody kind of becomes a new conversation as it is right now. Like, I really don't want to play any of these guys, but if Ant's out, I think they all kind of are worth a look. And probably some of these guys, I don't think anybody gets super chalk, but they could get chalkier.
Yeah, I think, Randall's about 10% owned now. That probably becomes like 15 or so if Ant ends up out. DiVincenzo, you give him a couple extra minutes, he probably gets in that 10 to 15 range. Nickeil Alexander-Walker probably gets in that 10 to 15 range. I don't think we see somebody break free from everything, but we're going to have a lot more to talk about for Minnesota if Ant is out than we do right now with him in, that's for sure.
Yep, good.
And then on the Pacers side, it's basically the exact same scenario. Both of these teams are like 36% owned. Both of them have one guy getting half of it. In this case, it's Halliburton, which is not all that surprising. He's 18% owned on DraftKings, slightly less on FanDuel, where he's more expensive. Everybody else then is in single digits. The Q tag for Benedict Mathurin probably won't matter all that much, although you feel better about getting to like Neesmith at that point. But I don't think it unlocks like Ben Shepherd or anything. What do you want to do with Halliburton and the rest of the Pacers?
Yeah, Halliburton, I think in this kind of spot, competitive game at home, not a bad total. Though Indiana, we've seen over 120 so many times. It's not really the kind of spot where you're full health for Indiana for the most part, assuming Mathurin does play. I'm not crazy about Halliburton because he's always a player I have a little bit lower projected than the industry does. But I do think if you get a Mathurin out and you account for this matchup, which you're expecting again, 4 quarters of action here, nothing too lopsided on either side. And Indiana, for what it's worth, going against Minnesota to have a team total about 115, it's not bad. I think it's just bad compared to Indiana is normally. So Halliburton, I could see talking myself into, though the field being at 20% feels like a lot. I'm low on him. I'm low on Siakam. I'm at like 5% of him, 5% of Turner. I'm getting a little taste of these guys, but nobody really stands out to me unless Mathurin comes out. Then I think it looks a little bit better for everybody.
Same thing. I got to 19% of Halliburton, so right with the field. Everybody else is single digits. I got 4% of Siakam, 1 share of Miles Turner, and nothing else. I don't think anything looks all that great. It's not the best matchup against Minnesota. On the opposite side, if Mathurin ends up out, I probably get a little bit of Aaron Neesmith, but I don't think anything else is going to be moving around all that much. These guys are just essentially at full strength. Same with Minnesota. Like right now, if everybody's in, it's their normal rotation. We've seen it for a bit, and these guys are priced where they should be. So it's tough to squeeze too much out of this game. It's also one of the lower owned games on the DraftKings slate, and it makes sense to me. I don't have any sort of major priorities coming out of Minnesota or Indy today, other than like Ant or Halliburton, which goes without saying.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, it's worth pointing out too, the team totals for both teams or implied totals today, both a little bit under their average, or at least a rolling average, going into last year. So like, it's not, a spot where the Vegas total's saying, hey, this could go nuts, but it's close enough to their totals, and the totals here aren't bad relative to the slate that if you wanted to try to take some shots here, like, I absolutely get it, but in particular for Ant and Halliburton.
All right, well, let's go to game number 2, which should be a bit more interesting. I'm just kidding. It's not, but at least we have pay up options. Lakers, 4.5 point favorites in Orlando. We've got a 214 total on this one. This is pretty clearly the lowest total on the main slate, but only by 4 points. Dallas, Brooklyn is also shit. This is the slowest game on the slate, and that includes the 2 late games. So not the best game environment, that's for sure. Q-tag Rui Hachimura. Otherwise, everybody for the Lakers that's normally available is available. Luke is projected for 7% ownership at 12,300. He's not all that owned on FanDuel either. LeBron's the only one getting any love, basically 10% across both sites. And then everybody else is 0% owned, no matter what. So you already told me that your Luka projection was not all that high. I can't imagine you like him all that much here.
No, I'm only getting 3% Luka right now. I mean, the big thing to me is like the rates when you take LeBron off the court, he becomes about a 40% usage rate guy, 45% assist rate guy. Like everything looks better for him, and he kind of becomes, what we were at least accustomed to him historically. He comes closer to that Jokic tier. With him, with LeBron on, we're looking at about, or LeBron available, even not even saying he's on the court time entirely. 35% usage, 36% assist rate, 1.5 fantasy points per minute, which is okay. But at his salary, we're talking 12.3. Like you're now paying that vestigial price tag before LeBron came back in the lineup over the weekend. So I'm not sold that he's a good play. Besides the fact that like people don't want to pay up for him, 7% ownership. Like I get why you go there at the low ownership, but the projection to me, like I have him as a 4x value today. So it's not something that occurs naturally. LeBron's easier to get to. I'm 17% of him in my top 150 right now. Fields at 12 with his price tag being lower. And we're talking about, 2K and change lower on DraftKings and small forward, power forward. I think you kind of need a LeBron more. So I'm getting him, but when you see the LeBron ownership kind of occur naturally and easily, then that makes Luka more appealing, I think, in terms of the DFS side of it. Like Austin Reeves, I don't know how you play him with these guys in. Like, there's not price for a matchup with Orlando, even close to it.
I only got shares of Luka and LeBron. I got 13% of Luka, which I will never bat an eye at if he's 7% owned. Like, sign me up for 2x the field on Luka, whatever. If he's too expensive, he's too expensive. I can't care today. For LeBron, dead neutral to the field. I got to 14%. He's 14% optimal, 10-3, small forward, power forward. Like, good flexibility, but he doesn't project well in the spot against Orlando. Massive pace down spot. They lose 4.5 possessions. The total's bad. The defensive matchup's bad. But I think if you're getting to anything, it's got to be LeBron and Luka. If Rui ends up out, do you think you end up with anything else? Because my guess is no.
I would think probably not. I would probably help Luka and LeBron's projection a little bit for me because the usage would kind of roll over to them more because nobody else is going to fill it up that much more. But yeah, I think in terms of like minutes, I mean, they have a crowded enough rotation here, and really, like Finney Smith, Vanderbilt, not priced in such a way where getting a few more minutes from Rui being out would help him out too much. And Finney Smith already projected to play 27 minutes, so yeah, I'm not sold anybody would gain enough for me with Rui out to help, but everything would look just a little bit better, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of see it the same way. Like, I got straight zeros just with the public ownership, same way. I can't imagine getting to much else for the Lakers. It's basically the exact same story on Orlando, only these guys look even better than the Lakers guys do. We did get news just before the show started, or at least just as the show started. Cole Anthony out today, so we're going right back to that Corey Joseph experience. Probably makes Banchero and Franz look a little bit better. 25% ownership coming into Paolo at 9,900, power forward only. Just shy of 20% ownership coming into Franz, $1,000 cheaper than Paolo. Shooting guard, small forward eligible. These guys are both about 30% owned on the FanDuel end. No one else is getting any sort of real love. What do you want to do with Paolo and Franz? Do you have a preference between the two, or do you just want them both? Or neither, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want them both here. I mean, again, a game here we're expecting to be like a tight one in terms of both teams being, I would say, fairly evenly balanced, at least based on the Vegas totals and what I would assume based on the matchup. One thing I did on Friday, which I do a lot in the Magic's kind of slates like this, where these guys are both being owned, is trying to separate them a little bit, where like if Banchero hits the ceiling, it's likely that he pulls a little bit from Franz. If Franz has hit ceiling, he probably pulls from Banchero. So right now I'm getting both guys at 28%, 29% for Franz. So relative to ownership, I like Franz more, but to me, this entire year, they've been functionally the same play. You've seen a little more of a ceiling lately from Banchero. That's why his price tag is where it is. But like, I kind of want both guys, but I don't really want them together, especially with the total being where it is. You can play them together. There's really nothing stopping you from it, especially with Cole Anthony being out. But to me, like 30% on both these guys being with the field on Banchero, a little bit above on Franz. I just think they're functionally the same play most slates and really not any difference for me today.
I got 25% about Banchero, so right with the field. I got 15% of Franz, so right with the field. I got one single share of Wendell Carter Jr. and nothing else. As far as I'm concerned, there's 4 names in this game. You click Luka, LeBron, Paolo, Franz, and you basically ignore the rest of this team, or rest of these teams. Like, there's just nothing else for me.
Carter's okay to me. I'm getting him in 5%, and he's been okay lately too. Gains a little bit from having some of the guys no longer available, on the team at this point. But yeah, like he's not in the same stratosphere of play to me as a Banchero or a Wagner. So no. I'm with you on it conceptually. Just like Wendell Carter's quietly been a better player this year than I expected. Especially like compared to the beginning of the year too. Especially like he was awful and losing minutes to everybody, and he's giving you some spike weeks. So like 5% ownership for him, I think it's worth it.
He's having arguably his worst offensive season ever.
Yeah.
Not even arguable. It's terrible. It's legit bad. He can't make a 3. He's shooting 22% from 3 this year. Yeah.
And just producing less in every category, not rebounding that well either. He's fouling a little bit more stupidly, it seems like too. He's not been good. He hasn't improved in the Magic. Like, I would rather have the Wendell Carter on the Bulls a couple of years ago than this version of Wendell Carter.
I'd rather have Goga Batadze, but I've been saying that for a while at this point. Perfect trade candidate. Somebody like the Pels would love Wendell Carter Jr., right? Or Goga at this point.
Is he better than Yves Missy, really? Like as a rookie?
Yes.
I would think if Missy grows into a role better, like for Wendell Carter, he's regressed in Orlando. Granted, less usage to go around, but I think he's become a worse player too overall.
Yves Missi, -2 offensive EPM, -2 defensive EPM. Hasn't been great.
He's not great, but he's a rookie. He'll get better. Whereas Wendell, we're now what, in year 6? Year 5, 6?
Yeah, he's 25. Be 26 shortly. About a couple weeks. You want to talk about games that are more interesting?
Yeah. Hopefully, are there any on the slate? I think
there are multiple that are more interesting than this. And we're going to go to the Toronto Raptors for this conversation. I have no idea what to do with these idiots today. So they're 2-point underdogs in Washington, which is going to make things interesting because when you play Washington, everything looks better. Toronto is going to be without RJ Barrett today. Chris Boucher out with an illness. I'm guessing he is sick and tired of all of the Toronto bullshit. So that makes sense. Grady Dick still out. Brandon Ingram out. Jared Rhoden out. There's no real ownership coming into Toronto. About 15% to Emmanuel Quickly. Everybody else is like 5 or below. Quickly is only 8% owned on FanDuel. Everybody else is below that mark. How do you want to handle Toronto? Are you interested in Emmanuel Quickly in this ownership? Scotty Barnes looks kind of interesting to me at 8,700. I think Jakob Poeltl's fascinating at 5,800 on only 7% owned. What do you do here? Because Toronto is a tricky one.
I'm getting a lot of Quickly right now, and I guess the logic for it with Toronto being on a back-to-back, Quickly didn't play yesterday, so he's full health theoretically, able to play whatever the most minutes he can play is. He's also a lot cheaper than Scotty Barnes, who is apparently going to play in a back-to-back. And Barnes has been getting, like high 20s minutes, 30 minutes flat in some games lately, but on a back-to-back, I don't know if he gets there. But Quickly's price tag works for me. He's also produced about 1.3 and change fantasy points per minute. Court time is here without Barrett and without Grady Dick, and obviously you have a few more guys out who might matter for the usage equation overall. So I like Quickly here. I don't feel comfortable playing this much of a Raptor, but I'm getting it at 43% fields at 17, getting Barnes at 11% fields at 5. Poeltl I'm under on because there's just too many big men there. I don't feel the most comfortable with his opportunity with him projected to play about 23 minutes. But I think the guards, like you take your shots here because Toronto doesn't want to win. They don't close with Barnes, but they play him as minutes. So I think you just assume these guys play their minutes, but maybe they're not there in the fourth quarter, high leverage spots. And God forbid if there's overtime, I don't know what would happen.
Oh my God. I think they'd just give up, wave the white flag. My intrigue here comes from the minutes that these guys get when it breaks the right way. Like we got 30, 34, and 31 out of Scotty Barnes in the last 3 games that he's played. We have him at 28. That's a little intriguing to me. The last time Jakob Poeltl played, he played 28 minutes. The game before that, he played 25. We have him in for 23 today. That's interesting to me. Quickly got 31 and 30 in his last 2. He's in for 28 today. That's intriguing to me. I think that's probably why I have 29%. I'm really interested in those 3 guys. If they get the minutes that they've gotten recently, if Barnes gets 30, if Quickly gets 30, if Poeltl gets 27 or 28, these guys are all under-owned for those numbers. And I don't really see any reason why they can't do those things. Not to mention, this is the best matchup you could find. I think Toronto is really interesting. You just have to be aware that they're likely to fuck you and you get a half of Scotty Barnes. But I think they're the most interesting team for trying to win a GPP today because those guys are proper talented when they get the minutes. And I'll take those chances on the minutes. It didn't work on the Boucher side last time, but I think I'm going to take that chance on Scotty Barnes, who's in 15% of my lineups, Quickly, who's in 30. I only have 7% of Jakob Poeltl right now, but I will have more at lock. I like Toronto.
Yeah, no, I'm with you too. And obviously, with the Sims tool and some of the updates that have gone on there with Stokastic, you can see the standard deviation. And if you just do the math there, like if you give Scotty Barnes a standard deviation on top, like he's getting you 50 fantasy points. And if you're paying under 9K for 50 fantasy points, especially, if the projections are a little bit lighter, even if I might be too aggressive saying nobody's above 50, there's not a lot of guys above 50. And the guys that are above 50 aren't great values. So if Barnes hits, like he probably does winning the slate. And he also gets you leverage on Quickly, who's kind of chalky. So I think there's kind of a win-win to playing Raptors overall.
So I'm Team Raptors. I don't think there's any. Oh, Mathurin in, by the way.
Okay, good.
I'm not expecting to have any interest in like Agbaji, Walter, Battle, Shed, Castleton, Mobo, Robinson. This is really just Barnes, Quickly, and Poeltl for me. So I just wanted to put that out one last time. Also, they're the only guys that don't have a optimal rate below 1%. Quickly's at 20, Pirtle's at 10, Barnes is at 9, everybody else is sub 1%. So the line gets drawn in the sand pretty easy.
It's a deep rotation. Jacoby Walter being back in, kind of interesting, but you have too many bodies. Like, he looks not awful to me. Like, if somehow Barnes and Quickly were to not play and he played more, like, I like Walter. I think he's shown me a little bit here, and he's one of those guys, Josh, plant the flag for the last week of the season. Like, Jacoby Walter putting up 50 is absolutely going to happen that last week of the year when they entirely give up.
By the way, Rui Hachimura also probable now, so he's going to be in. And same starting lineup for Orlando that we're used to. Corey Joseph taking that lead spot. Yikes. All right, so let's go to Washington. Another real fun team to talk about. No Brogdon, Koulibaly, Kispert. So same thing we've been used to for Washington as of late. No ownership either. 14% to Alex Sarr on both sites. Else in this game is more than things or FanDuel. So what are you doing with Sarr?
I'm not really playing Sarr. So Washington, I just kind of don't want to play as a team right now, which is not the best way to handle it. But like normally I'll really aggressively massage rates for different situations. So you guys can guess why I'm projections sometimes being a little bit wonky, sometimes in a genius way, sometimes in an opposite of genius way. But like I try to like isolate the situations. For Washington right now, it's like I think you make the case to give Sarr more minutes, but he doesn't close games. He seemingly could have closed last game over the weekend, but then they had him in. Game was out of hand. He played 2 minutes and that was it. So there's a chance you could get like 30 minutes from him, and he does gain, some opportunity, particularly for some of the smaller Wizards groups, losing Koulibaly in games where you have Middleton out, where you have Smart out. But you have Middleton in today, you have Smart in, like you have enough centers that they can go to. Holmes is seemingly back getting some amount of minutes. Vukovic is still lurking to take more minutes at any given point, and he's not in for a lot right now. So I don't love Sarr, but he's the only one that looks playable here. So like it's a really gross situation for Washington. They're just like, I think the worst fantasy team to play right now overall.
Yeah, well, they're also the worst real team to play overall. So it's perfect. They fit in across the board. Yeah, I got 6% of Sarr and nothing else, and I don't see anything that I would want to change. I could see taking a shot on Jordan Poole, just because he's Jordan Poole. Poole played 28 and 27 minutes over the last two. We only have him in for 24. If he plays 28, Jordan Poole could pay off 6,300 today, but it's still not going to look great. Like you need a pretty specific run out. So it's really Sarr and nothing else for me here.
Yeah, and honestly, not a bad total for Washington either with 115 implied. I just don't know where that goes.
I don't know where that goes either. It's kind of gross.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get the hell away from that game too. And now we're going to get into one that's slightly more interesting, although we have a very different talking point to start this one off. And we're going to start with the Dallas Mavericks, who are going to have Anthony Davis available today. He is now expected to play. Welcome back, AD. Congratulations. You guys actually have an actual good player on the team today. That is also resulting in no ownership. 4% to PJ Washington on DraftKings, 9 on FanDuel. Everybody else below that. AD's 10-2. No idea how you go to him. Other than PJ Washington, I don't know how you roster anybody here, and I don't even really like PJ Washington.
Yeah, PJ Washington, his rates have fallen off a cliff with Kyrie off the court. Like the other guards don't seem to get him in a position as well, or don't create enough space that kind of adds value to him. But like his usage has been down, his rebounding's been down, his assist rate's been down. Like, and obviously, it could be something that stabilizes more, but we're talking about, almost like 500 possessions for PJ Washington with some of the guys that are no longer available and he's not good. Then you throw AD in the mix. These guys are priced for AD not to be playing. AD himself, the price tag never moved from being out this entire time. So there were reports the team was trying to talk him out of playing, but he was really insistent on going. So I don't know how you expect him to get even 30 minutes in the spot. Like he can politic his way to playing a game, but he's not going to play high 30s minutes. And if he plays 30, maybe he goes nuts like he did that first debut. What half and change that he put up, and he put up like 2 fantasy points per minute in that range. But like I don't know how you play that either. So another player to me, I don't know how you pay up for it. Everybody else overpriced. Dallas is like another stay away team, and also slow spot versus Brooklyn too, even though it's not a bad total. It's just ugly game, ugly situation.
Yeah, I have Dallas. This is the second slowest game. I also have Dallas losing 3.3 possessions. I got 7% of PJ Washington and nothing else. I don't know how you go to Dinwiddie or Marshall or I don't know how you go to anything here. So we have PJ Washington at 4.9% optimal. Everybody else is 1.5% or below. Nah, I'm good here. I'm good here. Welcome back, AD, though. Like I'm glad he's back. I hope he can stay healthy. tired of just seeing this Dallas team burn to the ground. I mean, they're
frankly,
getting what they deserve, but
more passion than he's shown in his career too, where he's been dead set on playing again. He went to the G League to work out with those guys. Like you might get like the best version of AD just sheerly out of the fact that he doesn't want to be embarrassed on the other side of the Luka trade. But even still, it's just like he could go nuts here, and he would literally have to give you like 2 fantasy points per minute for you to take the dive at 24 minutes here, and even then, he might not be enough to make a winning lineup.
Yeah. Now, Brooklyn is a team that's getting some love. They are the most owned team that we've talked about so far on this show. And we're going to break that down right now. Brooklyn Nets, weird team, missing some bodies. No D'Angelo Russell. Zaire Williams is available. So they were both questionable for the strategy show this morning. We got one out, one in. We're getting 20% ownership to Cam Johnson. He's 7K, small forward, power forward eligible. He's also 13% owned on the FanDuel side. Nick Claxton is about 15% owned on both sites. Trendon Watford's about 10% owned on both sites. We're getting a little love to Zaire. Who is your priority coming out of Brooklyn?
Priority for me looks like Cameron Johnson or Cam Johnson for his friends. He's been producing pretty well without the guards out there. So in this game, you're missing Schroeder. You're missing, obviously, Simmons. Those guys no longer on the team. You're missing Russell. You're missing Cam Thomas. It seems like the court time without those guys results in Cam Johnson kind of consolidating some usage. 25% usage, 24% assist rate in court time without those guys, which are meaningful increases from where he is normally at about 23% usage and a 17% assist rate. So I think he's the biggest winner overall. The price tag is certainly... You're paying for, I think, what you're getting here, but he's in 27% of my lineups, Fields at 23. So Cam Johnson, I think, is the strongest play here. Nick Claxton looks okay to me, but I'm at half the field. I think Watford being the lead guard here would be what I would expect a good amount of time he's on the court. You'll have Tyrese Martin bringing the ball up, but Watford's one who actually creates assists. He's already on the year, had a 20% assist rate. I would have him at about 27% in court time without the various guards not available. So there's options here. I actually think Brooklyn's kind of an interesting team, but Cam Johnson to me seems like a core play. Everybody else seems like you're kind of mixing them in.
Yeah, I didn't get a huge stand on anybody, but I'm right with the field on all these dudes. 20% of Cam Johnson, 13% of Clax, 13% of Trendon Watford, couple shares of Zaire Williams. It's not that I want to get to a bunch of these dudes, but because there's no D'Angelo Russell and because they don't have a ton of bodies, there are a couple of guys that look solid enough today. And I'm happy to fill out with Johnson and Clax and Watford and Zaire. I think Cam Johnson's pretty clearly the best option from Brooklyn. I think that's why you're seeing the 20% ownership. We have him ranked 15th coming out of the boom bust tool, but that price works. This matchup works. I mean, it's not like Dallas is any good. Obviously, their defense will get better if Anthony Davis is at center and not Kai Jones or PJ Washington or anyone else, but it's not going to get better enough that it matters in this situation. So I'm happy to get to a little bit of Brooklyn. Do you want to get to any of the weird dudes? Any Keon Johnson? Anything? Day'Ron Sharp, backup center minutes? Anything like that?
No, I got like a little smattering of Zaire, 1% of him, 2% of Tyrese Martin, 1% of Sharp. Got no Keon Johnson at all in the 150 I ran. Stokastic Sims before the show with my data on top of it. So yeah, Keon Johnson, I do think he's one of those guys that should benefit more in the situation, but I have him getting more usage, have him getting more assist upside, but still only have him at about 0.92 fantasy points per minute. So I think he's a better play than he's getting ownership on, like under 2% owned by the field when you have all these guys chalky around him and he has kind of had a ceiling before. But like projection wise, it's not there easily for me.
Well, one thing that definitely looks better than the Brooklyn Nets today is the promo code CYCLE. MLB DFS is here. The season is kicking off on Thursday for real. That is, you can get any MLB DFS package we have for $1. Now, you pick the package weekly or monthly, whatever. It's $1 until April 3rd, at which point it's either going to re-up for a week or a month, whichever one you picked. So be aware. It's $1 no matter what until April 3rd. At that point, whichever package you chose, that's the one that is going to continue. You'll get projections, ownership, our top stacks tool, our top pitchers tool, our top batters tool, all of our simulation tools, the single lineup simulator, our contest generator, our regular sims, the post-contest sims, so you can see how you did, how your lineups look, what improvements you need to make. We also have a premium Discord. So come on in, promo code CYCLE, link in the description. It's also showing up in chat. $1 for an MLB DFS package until April 3rd. That's what time you will re-up. But baseball's here, guys. And MLB DFS is super fun. So I hope you're playing.
I'm going to be on shows, Josh. I don't know if you know. Are you doing MLB this year or do you wait until after NBA ends?
I likely won't do any until the NBA slows down a bit, or like I'll cover for somebody or something. But I won't be starting on it with any sort of volume until NBA starts to taper off.
Well, I'm on opening day, so I'm doing a Greg booked me for that one. So I'll be on Thursday before the DK and FanDuel slates start on opening day. So I don't know how many I'll be doing on a weekly basis, but I'll be doing some there. So appreciate our pal Greg Ehrenberg putting me on for some of it. But if you guys want some work for me in MLB, I'm hopping in. I haven't done MLB full go the last few years, but I loved it back in the day. Josh and I used to do streams entirely too often for MLB. The home run game, one of the highlights, I feel like, of the first few years there.
Yeah, maybe for me or the other people that were watching the show, but if you're just going to take Aaron Judge every time, how could it possibly be?
Now look where he is, MVP caliber player. He all needed that belief. He needed me taking him on stream and knowing that he was a true power man. Everybody else was like, this guy's a slap hitter. I was like, this guy's got great. The 6'6" man is great power.
Unbelievable. All right. We're going to go to game number 5. Now, these last two games, 39% of all of the ownership coming into this game, 28% of it coming into Chicago and Denver. That is 67%. 2/3 of all the ownership is coming into the final two games that we're talking about. Now we're getting into business. The Philadelphia 76ers are 4-point dogs in New Orleans, 225 total. We're getting a bunch of ownership into Philly. Adam Bona finally back. He's probable. Drummond still out. Quentin Grimes out for this one. Sorry, everybody. Tyrese Maxey still out. Kelly Oubre still out. Lonnie Walker still out. And O'Shea Brissett, to my knowledge, has not been signed to a second 2-day.
They signed Marcus Bagley, so I think he's taken the Brissett spot.
There we go. So Marcus Bagley is going to be taking the spot that was from O'Shea Brissett. Who's Marcus Bagley?
He played. I was looking up his stats. He not a bad producer in the G League. Pretty aggressive defensive rebounder, but nobody. He's not out of any NBA sample size. I think it's all G League.
I read it as Marvin Bagley earlier, which didn't make a ton of sense to me either. But anyway, let's talk this through. 20% ownership coming into Justin Edwards. He's been getting a bunch of minutes lately, and it doesn't really seem like they're going anywhere. 15% ownership to Jared Butler, 15% ownership to Ricky Council, and then a little bit to Jeff Doughton and Yabu. How do you want to play this Philly team? Because they're playing a Pelicans team that's equally dog shit. They're super short on bodies. They either have 9 or 10 guys. Assuming Marcus Bagley is available, they have 10. How do you look at Philly here?
I mean, you're taking a superstar off the court in Quentin Grimes, and I don't care what stupid George Niang is saying to that. He's a role player. He's established himself as a star with 35% usage, a high assist rate. So taking him out now, in addition to obviously all the other Sixers who are legit stars, like you have a lot of opportunity around. I think the big winners based off the rates that I'm looking at, Jeff Doughton's put up 25% usage, about a 20% assist rate without Grimes on top of the various other Sixers not available anymore. Obviously kept the bigs in because they don't matter too much. But we're talking about taking Embiid off, taking Oubre off, taking Maxey off, taking Paul George off. It seems like to me, usage-wise, Doughton's the big winner. Justin Edwards gets about 20% usage. You saw him last game if people play the Sunday slate. Quentin Grimes didn't get a ton of shots up in his first stint because Justin Edwards was shooting like he was Quentin Grimes out there. He hasn't had a lot of usage so far at only 20%, but like seeing him do that yesterday, I think he's going to gun again today, and he projects well for me. Getting him in about a third of my lineups, along with Doughton being in about a third of my lineups. I'm not getting Ricky Council very much, only getting 3% of him. I might need to move his numbers around a little bit because he gains in usage but doesn't do quite as much. And Jared Butler, who I know, Josh, I feel like that's been the big disagreement point for me and you with Grimes, is like, I think you've had Butler's projection being a little bit higher based on what he's done historically. I was interesting to note, when you take Grimes off the court, he gets kind of back to where he was. 22% usage, 33% assist rate, court time without Grimes, whereas when Grimes on, the usage comes down, the assist rate comes down. He didn't seem to want to play him yesterday. They played him off the bench, I believe, and then played him like, I think only 20 minutes, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But Butler, I think, technically in play at his salary. I'm just not getting there as much. But I would favor Edwards and Doughton. And I'm actually curious your thoughts on Doughton because somebody in my Discord earlier had mentioned like Doughton's got 2 games left in his 2-way deal. So like they're going to play him full go for a couple games, right? Like that would be the way that would go, I would think. But it worries me a little because Doughton's been in and out of the rotation a little bit.
If he doesn't start, I'd be very nervous that they're not going to play him so he doesn't accrue a game. if he starts, then you don't have to worry about it. Once he's in, and the game is going to happen whether he plays a second or 30 minutes. So pay attention to the starting lineup. If he's not starting, I would get pretty nervous about it. If he is, then you don't have anything to worry about. Butler's the guy I have the most of. He's in 29% of my stuff, 6,100 point guard, shooting guard eligible. So I'm 2Xing him. I got to 25% of Ricky Council. I only got to 9% of Jeff Doughton. I wouldn't mind having a little bit more at 5K. I think he looks totally fine. I don't really have anything like, I don't really have like an interesting take for Jeff Doughton here. Assuming he starts, I'll probably have like 10% of them. But I'm going to have a bunch of these guys. I got a little bit of Yabu. I am under the field on Justin Edwards, which I'm okay with. He's not the best per minute guy. He's very much a minutes play for today. But I got 84% to Philly. That's about 15% more than the field is getting at this moment. But right now, Jared Butler is the guy that I'm getting the most of. And I think it's just a rates thing. He's such a good per minute dude. Having Grimes off is certainly going to help him out in this spot. I'd like to see him get more consistent minutes, but if he plays 37 like he did on the 17th, awesome. If he plays 22 like he did yesterday, that'll suck. So the swings are pretty big, but it's not like I expect Marcus Bagley or Jalen Hood-Schifino or anything to run him down. So I like Butler. Council's the weird one. I didn't expect to be getting as much as I am, but we have him 24% optimal and only 14% owned. So seems like we're creating a little bit of value by getting to Ricky Council. The one guy we didn't mention, any Chuma Okeke, because he has been quite the minutes guy these past few games.
I got 3% of him. I mean, the issue is like even with him having the one really aggressive rebounding day where he put up 20 into the double-double in that, he's only putting up about 10% usage, not even that. A 14% rebound rate gave him a little bit of a boost from this time without Grimes. And really, it's not a big enough sample size to have a ton of confidence in, but he does seem to rebound a little bit more, assist a little bit more, get usage up a little bit more, but not enough to love. But if I get it at 3%, I'm okay with it. Really, the thing for me is like any Sixer, if you want to make a case for them, you can. I just expect the guards to benefit the most, and they're the ones who've only shown really an increase in rates, whereas like Chuma Okeke can get there, but I don't really know if I buy it.
Anything else you want to touch on here for Philly? Because we're not waiting on any Q tags or anything. We kind of just know what we're getting here.
No, it's a weird team. I would say if Bagley does play real minutes here, it does sort of change the projection set around. I know Stokastic just did an update where they gave him about 1 minute. If you give him more, he would pull a bit from Bona. He would pull a little bit from Alex Reese. Not that you're playing these guys. Pull from Yabusele if you're thinking about playing him. So Bagley's minutes could be a change, but he's a big, so he's not going to change the guard situation around too much.
All righty. Well, let's go to the Pels side because they are equally as wild today. And this is where the ownership is going. This is the most owned team on the slate, and it is not even close. They're 50 percentage points ahead of Denver. So for the Pels, here it comes. Bruce Brown out. CJ McCollum out. Zion out. We're still waiting on a Q tag for Yves Missi. We have 4 of these guys ranked in the top 7. Jordan Hawkins is 70% owned. Jose Alvarado is 60% owned. Yves Missi with the Q tag is 30% owned. Kelly Olynyk is 30% owned. Jeremiah Robinson Earl is 20. Antonio Reeves is 10. The floor is yours, brother. What do you want to do with this Pels team other than play the shit out of them?
I think the priorities are Alvarado and Hawkins. I'm getting both these guys around 80 to 89%. In my lineups right now. Alvarado's put up about 1.3 fantasy points per minute. You take the various Pelicans off. You guys might remember earlier in the year, there was a period where a lot of players weren't available. I think they might have had Trey Murphy at that point, but that was basically it. Alvarado had some great days. Overall, the usage has been about 26%, missing all the Pelicans, 41% assist rate. I don't know if that holds, and they haven't really shown an opportunity to give him a ton of minutes, but if ever he's going to get you to 30 minutes, today's the day, and I think he's had the best per rate data, so I would really push for him. Hawkins, I like a lot as well. He's had about 30% usage in court time without the various Pelicans. Not the biggest sample size there, but he clearly is a guard they want to develop a little bit more. It seems he's been ahead in the rotation of guys like Antonio Reeves, guys like Jamal Cain, guys like Keon Brooks, who got 20 minutes over the weekend as well. So I think those are the 2 safe plays. I'm not sure about Olynyk. I just don't know that he gets you above 25 minutes. They really haven't wanted to play him more than that. Now you're talking about on a back-to-back as well. He could play more, but that 38% ownership to me feels like a bit of a trap. Yves Missi, I'm with right now. If he were out or with the field on, getting 30% of him. But if he were out, I guess that would make me feel more safe about Olynyk and Makovich as well, and Jeremiah Robinson Earl, I guess. But Missi looks okay right now. And I am getting Antonio Reeves at 20% too. So a lot of guys here, Josh, to go through, but I think they're all good options. It's just like if you get different starters here, it's going to move around. Like if Robinson Earl starts somehow, like he'll be good. Right now, he looks awful, and I think that's sort of the way I'd view it right now.
Yeah, I got 70% of Hawkins. He's the number one play of the day. Happy to get a ton of them. Got 50% of Alvarado. He's the number two play of the day. I'm happy to get a ton of them. I got 44% of Yves Missi, and I don't even know if he's playing. That's over the field. Got 35% of Kelly Olynyk. That looks great. Not going to be changing that up. With the field on Makovich, with the field on Antonio Reeves. I didn't get any JRE or Elf or Jamal Cain, but JRE, if he starts, will move, as you were mentioning. He'll get some ownership at that point in time. This could move around, but I got 225% of the Pelicans. These top guys look incredible. You're playing Hawkins and Alvarado in cash by default. You might be getting one of Missi or Olynyk at that point too. It's just a lot of the Pels. Not to mention, it's great to have all of these late games because then you could swap for 7:30. You could swap for 8 o'clock. You move a little bit more around for the 9 o'clocks for Denver and Chicago, which are live to really cause some problems. I'm happy to overload on these guys. And I kind of hope that JRE starts because I'd like to get another dude in this list because I don't think the other guys here are going to go anywhere. I think you just feel a little bit better about him. But, I mean, if Yves Missi happens to sit, then you're definitely getting JRE. And you're probably getting a little bit of somebody else at that point, too. These guys, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, it's a really important game, and also the total too is not bad. Like Philadelphia lately has been in these kind of shitty shootouts with other teams that aren't trying very hard. I mean, on Friday you saw, I believe it was that was a San Antonio game where those guys went off, and you had about 4 dudes hitting, outlier. I mean, actually, might have been 5, including Chris Paul, hitting outlier outcomes. So I like the spot for New Orleans. I think they have sort of, some clearly defined usage guys that can do a little bit more. And then starters here, like Kane could start. That wouldn't shock me because it's kind of weird to start Makovich, Olynyk, and Missi against the Philadelphia team that lately has wanted to go small a little bit more. So this is an important game. And like Josh mentioned, the late swap ability, we need to know Denver's starter. So like if you hang on, have a lot of players in this game, you'll hopefully have more of the picture by the time it rolls around.
Team Pels today, baby. The only thing better than the New Orleans Pelicans today, there's only one. It's getting a free trial of the Portfolio EV tool. You can always do this. If you want to sign up for the Portfolio EV tool, take a market-based approach to beating the books and the pick'em sites, Portfolio EV at OddsShopper.com is the way you want to do it. 7-day free trial. If you've never used it before, the link is in the description. You get expected win rate, expected value. You can shop around all the best books. You can mass bet if you want. You can dig into our historical data, build out the portfolio you want. All the notifications will come to your phone. Click it, make the bet, move on. You can track all the guys at Stokastic, and OddsShopper, whether that's Greg's Bankroll Challenge, which has been crushing, Eric, Aton, Nathan, Laffy, Ben, Eric. I mean, we're cranking out a ton of Portfolio EV content on a day-to-day basis. So if you want to check it out and learn a little bit more, please do that. But you could test this out for free for 7 days. And I'm pretty confident you're going to stick around in the end. We're adding more features every single day, more books whenever we can. So come on in. Portfolio EV tool, link in the description. There we go. Are you ready for the final game of the DraftKings slate? One which is live to truly fuck everybody over.
It's a lot, man. Back to back for Denver makes it tough too, but it's a lot of ownership here. So swappability, late swap in with the tool today can be very important.
So the first team we're going to talk about is the Chicago Bulls. These Bulls are 3.5-point dogs in Denver. We have a 238 total. This is the highest total of the day, highest pace of the day. Bulls doing a lot of the work there. We're getting, we do have injury news for Chicago, which I guess we should touch on. Obviously, Lonzo's still not in, but Trey Jones also out. So we have 10% ownership coming into Kobe White. We've got 15% coming into Nikola Vucevic, just a little bit to Kevin Huerter, and 45% ownership coming into $9,100 point guard, small forward, Josh Giddey. He's 5.1x value, 49% optimal. I got him in 49% of my lineups. He almost had a quadruple double. He's been playing like crazy since the deadline, although I don't expect him to shoot 50% from 3 for the rest of his life. But he looks really good, and I'm getting him with the field. Apparently, it's Josh Giddey season today, and I'm guessing you're getting him too.
Oh yeah, I've been all over the Giddler a lot of slates lately. I'm big fan of what he's been doing as a player this year. I mean, the thing too is like, and this is where somebody, Deegs in the chat was asking me about like using smaller rates and massaging and whatever. It was always showing that Giddey would play better when he took the point guards off, and now we're seeing it start to really, stabilize in the larger sample size. But he's putting up about 24% usage, just closer to 23.5%, 16.5% rebound rate, over a 33% assist rate. So increases in every category, from Levine being gone, from Ball being gone, from Dosunmu being gone off the team functionally for the rest of the year. You throw Trey Jones on, it might make it even better, but I kept the sample size a little bit larger. Giddey's been great. He's just doing everything. Like Josh mentioned, almost a quadruple double the other day. I would say, though, I'm getting 65% of them. It's a lot of ownership coming his way. He projects to me like one of the top 3 plays in the slate. At a certain point, if he does fail, like Kobe White being about 10% owned feels a little bit low. Vucevic, I'm not as big on because he does lose a little bit from the point guards who aren't available, but he's been okay lately. He's still adding a lot in terms of rebounding and assist upside and all of that, has the blocks upside. I think those guys look good if you don't play Giddey, but to me, Giddey's like the best play in the scene based on what he's done. And, recent sample size stuff, or, recent things to see bias. He's just been good for longer than that. And I think he deserves the opportunity, and maybe a future building block for Chicago team, Josh, that I know we all love.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to be a future building block, but he has been playing quite a bit better as of late, and I'm going to be getting a ton of them. I also got to 20% of Vooch. Totally cool with that. I would like a little bit more Kobe White. You kind of talked about why that would be interesting, but I only got to 7%. Thought I would get a little bit more Kevin Huerter. I only have 4%. Don't have anything else for Chicago, and that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, it's Josh Giddey season today. I'm not happy about it, but he looks really good in this spot.
He's been playing his mind at me. Like, if you actually like watch him play, for the people out there on YouTube, like if you haven't seen him play, like some of the games, man, he has taken over, and like he's grabbing every ball, and like he's doing all the stuff I think I'd hoped he would do coming into the Thunder. And now, it took me on a shitty team that doesn't seem to want to win, but Chicago's going to make the play in just out of sheer inertia from the other teams wanting to win even less.
Yeah. Lucky them. Really helpful for the rest of the team. It's not just Chicago, though. And now we have the actual biggest talking point of today's slate. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't even know what I should do. Christian Brown is probable. Aaron Gordon is questionable, and he looks like a top 15 play today if he's in. Jokic out. Jamal Murray probable. 45% ownership to Murray, 20 to Porter, 15 to Christian Brown, 20 to Aaron Gordon. And as of right now, 30% ownership to DeAndre Jordan. Now, for those of you that weren't paying attention yesterday on the front end of their back-to-back, DeAndre Jordan, they dusted him off for the first time in a month. He played 38 minutes yesterday. He's the flat 3K. If he starts, he's the best play of the day. I already have 70%. I don't know what I really want to do. But if he doesn't start, I also think he's liable to never step foot on the floor. So let's just have this conversation. What the hell do you think they're doing with DeAndre Jordan today?
It's really odd. I mean, for him to be, basically out of the rotation for a while, and earlier in the year, he would start for Jokic to then play 38 minutes. And like, I usually don't play on the weekends. I saw its stat line. I was like, what the hell happened here? Dug through the popcorn machine. I mean, it was all like legit rotations. Obviously, if you play 38 minutes, you're going to get a lot in there. Second half, he played a ton. It's odd to expect him to play at all coming off of that today, but with Stokastic's projections, I think pretty reasonable to give him 23 and change. And if you give him 23 and change, he looks like one of the most important plays in the slate. So if you give him a few more minutes, obviously he'll look even better, getting every lineup. As it is, I'm getting him in half my lineups. But frankly, I wouldn't be mad at putting him in every lineup to keep that flexibility where if he doesn't start, you could swap around more. So DeAndre Jordan, hugely important play. And Aaron Gordon, Josh, I'm getting 70% of too. So I'm having a lot of late swap flexibility, which like I don't care. I'm not going to change Gordon's rates because if he comes out, then all these guys look better. But I think you're kind of behooved to just have a ton of these guys because you want all the flexibility. You want to know who the starters are. You want to know if Gordon's out because Porter Jr. is going to look so much better. Murray will look so much better. Even Christian Brown will look good enough at 12% owned. So most important situation, most important game on the slate for a team on a back-to-back.
I really don't know what to do because my expectation is that he's not starting and not playing. I think he played 38 minutes yesterday because they knew they were just going to let him fly for the entire front end and figure it out after that. Because it's not like he was the backup center. It's not like he was getting like 10 minutes. He was just not playing. And then he got 38. He played essentially basically the whole second half. I think he's not going to start. And at that point in time, I would want 0. But if he doesn't start and we get that news at 8:30, what's the answer here? Because he's flat 3K center eligible. Zeke Naji, who conceivably could get the start, it could also be Aaron Gordon starting at the 5 like it's been. Zeke Naji's 3,100 power forward center eligible. So you can't just swap Jordan to Naji if you want to. You'll need either another guy in that lineup or at least an extra $100 in that lineup. That's where it starts to get really dicey. And I really just don't know what I should do with this spot. Because I like, if you're asking me, I would bet on him not being the starter, but I don't have anything to back that up. I just don't expect him to play the back-to-back, but oi. What do we do? Like, are you going to play it as if he's starting?
I'm going to play it as if he's starting, and I think with as much ownership as I have in the last 2 games, I'll know by then, and I'll be able to swap around off of it. But even if it's only the last game, like I've got 65% Giddey, I've got 70% Gordon, I've got 22% Murray, 11% Westbrook, and a little bit low on Porter. I think I have the flexibility to move around a little bit, so that's going to be my hope. I think it wouldn't be crazy to only take lineups that leave $100 on the table, and then you have that money built in, so you could just fully quick swap to Najee, because Najee's not going to come up naturally in lineups. You could get something weird too, like a Saric start, I guess, maybe. Like if they're dusting off DeAndre Jordan on the front half of back-to-back, who knows? But I think you'll have flexibility if you just play Jordan and you have other guys. If you're only playing Jordan, that's when like you could be screwed. If only 50K lineups and only playing Jordan, then you're out of options, perhaps.
If Aaron Gordon ends up out, I'll feel a little bit better at that point, just because that takes away another guy that might potentially start at center. But it's dicey. Like I'm getting a bunch of Murray. I'm over the field on Porter. I'm with the field on Brown. I'm with the field on Gordon. I'm getting those guys. But as it stands right now, I have 70% of DeAndre Jordan, and I either want to have all of it or none of it by the time it's over. And I just don't know which direction that's going to end up being. I definitely don't want the news until after lock, because I want to get the benefit of whatever this play ends up being. But I think he's very live to not start, and that will be quite the tire fire.
Just crazy. Like I never thought crazy conditioning for DeAndre Jordan. It's like he comes off the bench, plays 38. If he plays a back-to-back, I'd be shocked. But it's like maybe he can do that. Maybe they know from having worked with him for all this time.
Yeah, I don't know. And now, if Aaron Gordon ends up out, Murray looks better, Porter looks better, Brown looks better, Peyton Watson looks significantly better at 4,400. Zeke Najee's probably getting enough minutes to matter at 3,100, and that says nothing for the center situation. So you're going to get a lot of Denver. You should get a lot of Denver. You should get a bunch of Chicago as well. So there are going to be late swap possibilities out there for you, but just know that DeAndre Jordan is very live to not play a single second. And if he's not the starter, I think you need to run away from him as fast as you can.
Yeah, I agree.
That concludes everything on the DraftKings side. We are going to hit the final 2 games, which are on the FanDuel slate. So guys, hit that like button. Live Before Lock is going to be coming up next. Greg and I will be on playback at 7. 3 games locking at 7, another at 7:30, another at 8. So we're going to have all this late swap opportunities. We might even get that Nuggets news. So you're going to want to be on playback, playback.tv/Stokastic. For the Milwaukee Bucks, they're 3-point dogs. This is in Phoenix, 223 total. No Damian Lillard for this one. So that's a slightly different look for Milwaukee. Obviously, no Portis, no Jericho Sims. We do have a 60% owned Giannis on the FanDuel side. How do you like him? Do you like anything else for the Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, I think Giannis looks great for the FanDuel side. For the DK late slate as well, would be one of the better values on the slate. He's my top projected guy amidst all the games, so I really have no issue with how much Giannis you want to play. Besides the fact you get to a point on FanDuel where, and really any slate, when you have 60% owned of a high dollar guy, maybe considering some other options around that. But everybody looks better from not having Lillard in. I know you talked on the strategy show, but Rollins likely starting again. I still feel like with Porter Jr. maybe picking up some ownership both on the late slate and on FanDuel, giving a little boost to Rollins, the hopes that maybe he plays so well that he can close, because he has played fairly well so far, filling in for Lillard. But besides that, I really don't have any lean. I think these guys all look good. Giannis obviously looking the best. I think the Rollins Porter Jr. thing, like it wouldn't shock me if for a late slate, Porter Jr. ends up too highly owned, Rollins earns a few more minutes, and he can get some stocks that matter a lot for FanDuel as well. I like Rollins more. Just they don't give him concrete run out ever.
Make sure you're getting Giannis, baby. 60% owned, 58% optimal. No Dame changes this one up. On the Suns end, no Bradley Beal for this one. Plumlee and Nick Richards are both probable. 6% ownership to Kevin Durant, 18 to Booker, essentially 0 to everybody else. You interested in anything here other than Durant and Booker?
No, I think it's Durant and Booker. I mean, Nick Richards, if it weren't FanDuel and you didn't have to give up better center plays, I think would look kind of appealing. But yeah, Durant and Booker, I probably wouldn't love in the DK late slate for FanDuel, though. I think a little more firmly in play. But yeah, really, the price tags to me don't do it. The total here doesn't do it. It's not the most high scoring total here, given Milwaukee and Phoenix, what you think would be the outer band of upside you'd get in a total.
No, I mean, we only have those two guys getting any optimal north of 0.5. Booker at 13.5, Durant at 4. There are no other names to look at for this game based on those optimals. It doesn't look good. And then that gets us to the final game of the day on FanDuel. Boston Celtics, 4.5 point favorites in Sacramento, 224 total. Q-tag Jaylen Brown, Q-tag Sam Hauser. Al Horford already out. No ownership coming into Boston. That might change if Brown and Hauser both end up out, but we kind of need that news. As of right now, Jason Tatum is your best play from FanDuel.
Yeah, Tatum is the best play. He would be one of my top projected guys on the slate as well. Brown being in, I think, would certainly hurt that a little bit, but still would make him probably a more compelling tournament option. I don't think he's a must-have as if it would look like if Brown were out, but still looks like a strong enough play with the upside.
Do you think anybody else, like if we lose them both, you're probably getting a little bit more Derek White, a little bit more Drew Holiday, a little bit more Porzingis, but I'm doubting anything looks incredible for Boston other than Tatum.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. I mean, earlier in the day, Brown was in the projection set, and to me, it was only Tatum that kind of stood out. So yeah, like I expected Brown to not be in today, to be honest. But yeah, if he's in, I think Tatum still looks playable, and if he's out, I think Tatum looks like a much more priority play, and when he can get to pay up there instead of paying to Giannis.
It's not just Boston that's tough to talk about. Sacramento, questionable tag. Devin Carter, questionable. Malik Monk, questionable. Domantas Sabonis. Now, there's no real ownership coming into these guys right now, but like if Monk and Sabonis both end up out, we're going to like something from Sacramento, whether that's DeRozan, Levine, Murray. Joe Val's at 6,200 on FanDuel. That's a little bit more reasonable. Keon Ellis or LaRavia could get some jumps, but for right now, I don't think anybody looks good for Sacramento if they're all in, but that could change, and they might be a late swap team for you.
Yeah, as it is, I agree. Like their price for life without Sabonis coming back in here. Never a thing that you want to see when the guys' price tags are elevated. And yeah, DK late slate, they look awful to me. FanDuel, I think maybe you could talk yourself into the key guys are your Levine, your DeRozan, your Monk, Sabonis, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, it's really not a great total here going against Boston. Not a great situation with the price tags from having a few weeks without Sabonis. So yeah, to me, not really a spot you're normally going to unless you get a few guys out.
Well, there you go, folks. 8 games up, 8 games down. We broke it down the best we could, but there's going to be a bunch of news. We got 3 games at 7 o'clock, which means Live Before Lock's going to get 6 teams worth of starting lineups, all of that news, and potentially some Dallas-Brooklyn news just before 7 o'clock. So Live Before Lock is going to be coming up next. But first, Spags, tell the people where to find you.
You follow me on Twitter at Chris Spags. Check out my NBA channel where I do streams before this one pretty much every weekday, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. at Splash Play NBA. Be rolling out some MLB content on there. Going to be doing some MLB here. So things are looking good, Josh, besides no Quentin Grimes. I would have been nice to win a tournament today with Quentin Grimes.
Well, lucky for us, we don't have to bother playing him at a stupid price tag. We could play all the other awful 76ers. So guys, hit the like button. Live Before Lock coming up next. Tell the people hi. Run that like number up if you can. Where the hell is that video? Here it is. Goodbye.
What is happening, everybody? Hopefully, you all had a pretty good weekend. And now it's time to get back to it. Time to play some DFS and talk it over with my friend Eric Lindquist here. So do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We do have a little bit of a smaller slate on DraftKings, a little bit of a bigger slate on FanDuel. So if you're playing on DraftKings, some injuries that you're not going to have to worry about that you do on the FanDuel side of things. But we're going to be talking through all of it nonetheless. So like I said, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you guys want to sign up for any of the packages that I have here at Stokastic.com, go ahead, link down below in the YouTube description box, or take advantage of one of our link join offers. Get yourself 1 free month of core access for each one of our affiliate partners that you sign up for that are listed here on the screen. But don't forget to MLB season. That is going to be starting this week, and you can sign up for any baseball package for just $1 with the promo code CYCLE. That's all capital letters. Link for that is also down below in the YouTube description box. But take advantage of this offer. It doesn't matter if you sign up today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. Whenever you sign up, you are still going to be getting access through April 3rd with the package renewing on April 4th. So take advantage of this deal. Just $1. Even if you've been on the fence about playing MLB DFS this season, listen, Eric, it's just $1 single dollar. So you might as well go ahead and take advantage of that offer and then see if the tools are for you and if you like using our Sims product. But other than that, Eric, I had a pretty good weekend. How about yourself?
I had a great weekend. Yeah, no, it was a fun betting weekend with college basketball going on. MLB getting ready to rock. Worked on a bunch of stuff yesterday for it. Anthony Davis having a minutes limit. Who would have thunk that? Although Jason Kidd is a damn dirty liar. Let's never forget that. Yeah, I'm just excited to have MLB back. I've done a lot for $1 in my day, but from what I've heard, it's not a lot of money. You don't have to go under the bridge downtown where I found my love or whatever, they used to sing back in the day, Red Hot Chili Peppers. But I'm excited for MLB to be back. And I know you are too, Greg.
Yeah. And I am, but I have had, for whatever reason, I don't even know what it is. I have had so many issues trying to screen share in playback to where I can't even explain it. But what ends up happening is it just takes forever to load. And I just have to continually try to reload.
How about I do it?
And I hope eventually it ends up showing up. So I'm trying in there, guys. I'm doing my absolute best.
How about I do it on playback and you do it on YouTube?
Yeah, we could try that. See if that ends up working better. Just pull up Portfolio EV and try screen sharing that. You don't even have to touch it over the course of the show, just so the bets populate over there. Because for whatever reason, it gets really buggy on my computer if I end up trying to do both. And yeah, Nwald50 says, it brings up a good point. He says the hacker had no issues trying to screen share and play back. No, the hacker did not. The hacker did not. He had no issues at all. He was able to do it quite well. But even like here in StreamYard, there's like this weird button that's on the screen that I've never seen before. I don't know why that popped up.
Yeah, it kind of went away for me too quick. Let me do this and get the screen share going for the people. I'll figure that out here as we go, but we'll get it locked in.
All right. By the way, you just left playback entirely.
I didn't mean to. I did not mean to. That was not intentional.
Look at us. Look at us go here. Injuries for today. I'll let you guys know what it is that we're waiting on for over the course of all the games tonight. Anthony Edwards is questionable. Domantas Sabonis is questionable. Malik Monk is questionable after he was a late scratch the other day. Aaron Gordon is questionable. Jaylen Brown is questionable. Yves Missi is questionable. And that could be a massive piece of the slate, especially when you consider that Zion Williamson and CJ McCollum are already out. And then if you keep going down, you'll have, guys like Sam Hauser being questionable, who maybe not the most important part of the slate. But if you get Jaylen Brown out in addition to somebody like Sam Hauser, well, then you're looking at some real wing value for the Boston Celtics. I want to know from your standpoint, Eric, and it seems like you might be running into the same issues screen sharing that I am.
No, I got it. It's ready.
Is it?
Yeah,
it's not showing up for me for some reason. Whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as the audience could see it. Nothing's showing up for me. Are there any players on the injury report that you are massively confident will either be in or out today?
I'm pretty confident Aaron Gordon doesn't play today.
Okay.
He played 38 minutes yesterday, and he's been hurt. Like, that's the other part of this, is Aaron Gordon hasn't been back for some insane amount of time, plus Dallas. I mean, everybody in the West has tons at stake. Like, Dallas is, like, buoying between 10, 9. Like, they have no reason to be tanking whatsoever, and they get AD back today. You've got further up the board, LA, Denver, Houston, everybody's jockeying for position. And obviously, because of the way that the play-in tournament works now, you do not want to be there left holding the bag with any of those last in spots. So it's just starting to get really dicey in the West, where I think you want guys to play, but like you already have Jokic out. This elbow was an apparent injury right when it happened. And it doesn't shock me that he's continued to be out, but I do think 37 minutes is a lot for a guy like Aaron Gordon, where, yeah, he had played 37, he had played 39 here in a couple of spots, but he was out for like 10 days. And then he was out for like 5 days. And then he was out. Like, there's been long stints for Aaron Gordon being out. It would just really surprise me, because you go through it and I was like, when's the last time Aaron Gordon played on a back-to-back? February 5th and 6th, 31 and 23 minutes. It has been a long time, Greg. I really don't see him playing basketball today.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable, especially if you look at how, which is kind of part of your overall point, but just look at how Denver has negotiated injuries with, like you said, Nikola Jokic, with Aaron Gordon throughout the season, Jamal Murray as well at times. The thing that's most surprising to me is that they haven't found rest spots for Michael Porter Jr., just because he's the most injury prone of all of them.
I know.
I mean, you look at a guy who, what was it, 2 years ago? I think I'm trying to remember which season it was. He missed almost the entire season with the bad back. He had just signed the contract extension. You start to think, oh boy, with his issues coming into the draft, some teams had flagged him medically in the draft where they said, this guy's not draftable because of how screwed up his back is. So I'm stunned that they have not given him more regular days off, because everybody else who mattered, even Christian Brown got days off, but they're not giving Michael Porter Jr. days off. That's pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, it is crazy. No doubt about it. His Missouri year was like, I don't know, like 2 games long, basically. It was something everybody was excited to see him, and then it was gone. Denver got a great value in the draft. It worked out at times, I would say. 80 limited around 28 minutes. Good to know. That's kind of what we were assuming. 24, I think, is what we had him in for. I think we'll change that to 28 here and move on. But I thought yesterday, just looking at the Peyton Watson staggering there for, some brief amount of time there with Michael Porter Jr., they shared the floor first, second quarter there for a long stint. But like, for the most part, Michael Porter Jr., because of his defensive issues and just the overall construction of the team, they can play a Zeke Naji or a Peyton Watson, and it's not apocalyptic to have come in there. You can't really replace the skill set of Jamal Murray if Jamal Murray gets back to right for this Denver team. You can't really replace the skill set of Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, like two-way players that do a lot of just everything right on a basketball floor. But I'm with you. Like, Michael Porter Jr., it is surprising, but considering they limited him to like 32 and a half minutes yesterday, I felt pretty confident he would be in here when the injury report came out. The two I was curious about, Aaron Gordon and DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan played 38 minutes yesterday. It's asinine. I don't know what to make of it. All I know is that this is the most important team, I believe, on the entire slate, especially considering I do believe Aaron Gordon sits.
Yeah, so we did just get a fresh run of ownership. And yeah, there was that weird thing people brought up in chat. For whatever reason, all of a sudden, yesterday's slate had just populated on screen, refreshed it, and that went back. I have no clue how that ended up happening. But anyway, ownership for today, here's what we are currently looking at as the most chalky players on the slate. A few of them extremely popular over on draft. By the way, Sabonis in. We just got that news. Yes. So Sabonis in. That's not something that we're going to have to worry about for the FanDuel side of things. Starting with the DraftKings ownership, 2 massive pieces of chalk, both coming from the New Orleans Pelicans, taking on the Philadelphia 76ers, Eric. Jordan Hawkins, 75% projected owned. We've got Jose Alvarado, 61% projected owned. I don't think either of these guys come in quite that popular. With that said, they're both going to be very, very popular, maybe just not 75 and 61% owned. But Jordan Hawkins, Jose Alvarado, good chalk or bad chalk in your opinion?
Good chalk. I mean, I think everything we're talking about is relative to when news comes out. So I think he's good chalk right now. And if we don't have Denver news by the time that game starts, sounds great. But if we get Aaron Gordon out and we reshuffle the slate and we talk about what changes, for me, Jamal Murray moves way up the board. Even at 45% where he's at now, I would want more. I think Michael Porter Jr., where we have him at around 20%, I would want more. Pretty much everything on Denver becomes more of a priority because they would be lower owned. Jordan Hawkins, Jose Alvarado, I mean, I just have no problem whatsoever at their current marks. I mean, this is just a game that should still shoot out against Philly on the other side. Neither team is actively trying to win it. It does worry me, but as far as like minutes for other guys. Kelly Olynyk is the guy that I want to pinpoint with that. I don't know what to make of his minutes here in this spot. Karlo Matkovic, if he ends up starting, I think it looks awesome. Evis Missy has a Q tag. This is probably my second most important team and most people's second most important team that exists on today's slate, just Denver because of the late swap ability.
Yeah, I mean, that situation there with the Pelicans where we don't know exactly what the starting lineup is going to be, and they've already ruled out guys. Misi, like you said, he's questionable, brought him up on the list of injuries at the top of the show here. And yeah, there's so many guys who've been ruled out for the Pelicans already that any additional guys they rule out would end up being really impactful to the slate. Not to mention we've already got guys who are looking really good. Here are the available. Oh, by the way, I should mention that he hasn't been massively important overall for the season, but down the stretch where the team's been shorthanded, Bruce Brown is resting today. That kind of matters. Here are the available players that we have for the Pelicans today. Olynyk, Alvarado, Hawkins, maybe Misi, Matkovic, Keon Brooks, Jamal Cain, Jeremiah Robinson, or Austin Reeves, Elfrid Payton. At most, they're going to have 9 active guys today. At most. This could be an 8-man rotation, unless I just counted something wrong there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to be at most 10 guys, but 9 for sure, who are right now. What I did was I didn't count Misi as somebody who's for sure.
Right.
Whatever. It was a poor counting job up to 10. Nearly an impossible task. Not many people could count all the way to 10. I'm a man. I rely on simulations. I rely on technology. The idea that I was just going to be able to do this math without the aid of technology was far-fetched. But Misi, if he's ruled out, what would this open up in terms of value? Like, are we looking to Jeremiah Robinson Earl start and play big minutes then? We've seen that happen this season.
Yeah, that's my guess. It's him, or you just get Matkovic out there playing the 5, which is more of his natural position, even though we've seen him play the frickin' 3 at times this season. Like, it's been pretty insane how they've handled it. But out of the middle of nowhere, you saw Jeremiah Robinson Earl leak back into this rotation a couple of weeks ago. He had been basically an unknown, was out for 10 days. They had the All-Star break. He, was spotty, had been playing like 8 minutes here, 9 minutes there, 4 minutes there. And then 29 and 32, the last 2 out of the middle of nowhere. I think he's somebody that even if you get Matkovic starting, I'll probably leak in some Jeremiah Robinson Earl. Obviously, you don't want to win this basketball game. Obviously, you want these guys to potentially eat and absorb some of that, because Kelly Olynyk is actually somebody you probably care about limiting his minutes. Matkovic, I don't know what they think about him, but I mean, he's been playing more reduced minutes. They've gone to more Jeremiah Robinson Earl. He's not good. We know who he is at this point in time, but he's 3,500. I think there's something that's got to be said about that. Plus, I think my overall nuke of the night is 3,500 over in the late night hammer. So I probably am okay just playing some, boosting him, or just having some show up organically if he ends up in the starting lineup, and then hoping that Denver news shows up where I can kind of pivot on to some of the Denver stuff.
All right. Yeah. And then if we look at some of the next tier of currently popular players, Jamal Murray's 45% projected own, Josh Giddey 45%. Then you got a few guys who are above 30%, Kelly Olynyk, Paolo Banchero, and Yves Misi. Obviously the Misi one way up in the air because we don't even know if he's playing. We don't know what the starting lineup's going to be. But as of right now, he's projected to be popular. And then you got DeAndre Jordan just under 30% owned. And at least in the last run of Sims I did, he was actually the player I was most overweight to the field to, Eric, was DeAndre Jordan. The big question here, though, is do you think he draws another start?
I don't think it matters. I mean, if it ends up being Saric, you pivot to that. There's one guy that I have a ton of interest in Denver that I just don't see anybody talking about today. What do we even have him projected for in this?
Can I guess who it is?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let me look at the full list of players.
Why don't you hit the animation Denver while you figure it out? Just get it out of the way.
Is it somebody really stupid?
Yes.
All right. Boy, I'm trying to think how stupid this could be.
The animation, Greg.
Vlaco, is it Konkar? I forget how to pronounce his name.
How about you hit the animation and I will tell you.
Oh my God. Which one? The exotic. I'm hitting the exotic. If it's somebody stupid, it has to be the exotic.
He's exotic. So there you go. Have fun. Do whatever you want, Greg. It's your show. Just do it.
going to financially recover from this.
Dude, I want to make sure that
end the movie. End it. What are you doing?
No. Your face as Joe Exotic stays on as long as possible there. We want the buildup. We want the absolute buildup here to figure out which idiot it is that you are rostering. I don't even know if it was the proper time to use the exotic player of the day because I don't even know who it is you're going to go with. But you tell me, which moron are you rostering today?
Denver ran a 9-man rotation yesterday, and it was basically a glorified 6. Now, I think game script, like one thing that I think is kind of like you got to just take it with a grain of salt. Like, I don't think Malone went into yesterday's game being like, I'm going to play DeAndre Jordan 38 minutes. Like, I don't think that that's what he thought of. Now, that could end up being Dario Saric. It could end up being DeAndre Jordan starting, but not playing the same amount of minutes. I would want to play a lot of him no matter what. But I want to at least point out one guy who's been in the rotation of late. The last 2 games played 24, 22 minutes before yesterday, playing just 4 and then wasn't even in the rotation. And I think this is probably the guy who comes from absolute obscurity in the event that you get Aaron Gordon out, in the event that you get DeAndre Jordan in muted minutes, and that is Vlatko Konkar. Like, I have no idea what to make of Denver entirely, but the guy had been playing decent amount of minutes. Now, he is not a great fantasy producer, but he is sitting there at 3,500. And I just want to point out how many directions Denver can go in the starting unit. Zeke Naji, Russell Westbrook coming back into the starting lineup. Peyton Watson starting, I think, is probably the chalk in the event that Aaron Gordon ends up out here in this spot. But you still need the 5, and that could end up being Saric. It could end up being Jordan. But I just want to point out how shorthanded this Denver team is, how ludicrously good this matchup is with Chicago. They're playing way up in pace. They are doing everything they can to just score buckets and get their own here at this stage of the season. I like the idea of everybody in a Denver uniform, and the guy who is way under-owned here relative to everybody else. And again, we have him for like 2 fantasy points. So there's a lot of things that need a break in order for this to become a thing. But don't sleep on 26, 28 minutes coming from the rafters for Mr. Konkar, your, I guess, white of the night now, or exotic of the night, or nuke of the night.
That was the exotic play of the night animation. So it's whichever one it is that you want to pick it for, whatever. It doesn't matter. The people were excited to see it come back. They got to see you on screen, stuck as Joe Exotic for a little bit, which I think I enjoyed more than anybody else did, but it's okay. It's okay. So for myself, for the exotic play of the night, I can't really go anywhere. Well, actually, there are a couple of different directions you can go. We're at the end of the season where, a lot of them pull a lot of ownership here. But Kelly Olynyk for me, I'm a good amount overweight to the field. So he's one of my most rostered players. He also stands to gain even more should Misi be ruled out in the coming minutes. And while we were playing the animation, Misi was determined to be a game time decision, which changes absolutely nothing about what we know about his status. So Kelly Olynyk already looks really good. He's already in more than half my lineups. And then in a situation where there's no Misi, he would show up in even more lineups for me. Let's see what we have for super chats. We love drugs. This is his name. We love drugs. This must be a Josh Engleman burner. Certainly a question directed, probably a Josh Engleman fan. There aren't many of them, but we got one here. Do you think there are more idiots on FanDuel or DraftKings? DraftKings just because there's more people who play there.
Yeah, I think if we're talking ratio, FanDuel. If we're talking, ratio, FanDuel, like point per dollar, idiot, like that would be FanDuel. I think just quantity, DK.
Yeah, I'm going to say DraftKings. Otherwise, though, a lot of it is just going to be like whatever your personal preference is. In my opinion, I don't think one site is like significantly easier or more difficult than the other. If for whatever reason you just might have a preference towards, a certain site for whatever, like it catches your eye more. You like the build bait. You've had more success on one. Ultimately, though, I don't really think it makes that big of a difference. We have a super chat here from Chris Albers. He wants to know, what are the chances that Dallas decides to play Davis more than 28 minutes? As far as DFS is concerned, I don't think Anthony Davis is playable. I assume that's where you're getting at is, can we see extended minutes from Anthony Davis? And he has sneaky upside for DFS purposes, I'm not going to play Anthony Davis tonight, Eric.
If it weren't Brooklyn, I'd probably do it, but it's Brooklyn. We're talking the slowest pace game environment you could run into, the slowest pace team outside of like Orlando that's also good on defense. Brooklyn's been better on defense over the last 2 months. Like, I just don't have any desire to try to force it at 10-2. You would need a lot to go right. One, you need Jason Kidd to be a liar, which is probably the easiest of the things to get covered. Two, you would need him to just basically say, oh, we don't care about our training staff and, Anthony Davis, the future of our basketball team, which is what he is over the course of the next year or two. No matter what, has to make all the sense in all the land to just, 0%.
Where are you playing most of your DFS tonight? FanDuel, DraftKings?
Oh, almost all DK today. I played FanDuel. What was it? Friday, Saturday. It was pretty good to me. FanDuel was pretty good to me the last couple of days. Today, all DK.
All right. We love drugs. So follow up on your question. DK. I got some confirmation on a question that I wanted some information on. DraftKings. That's where you're going to find the dumbest players over on DraftKings. By the way, Kessler Edwards, he is inactive again today. Eric, Kessler Edwards inactive once again today.
Fun.
Makes sense
for him,
especially now that AD is back.
Yep, it makes sense. And also, they have Kai Jones, who's proven he can play a little bit at the 5 for him, and didn't get sent to the wayside. Like, who's the last guy that they just had in there at the 5 that got his 10-day contract and then was sent out on a rail after playing like 30 minutes a night? Who was that? Not Gafford, not Lively. There was somebody else, the other center. Somebody's going to throw it out there. Moses Brown. There we go.
Moses Brown. Yeah. I forgot they had Moses Brown for a minute.
And
he was he crushed for DFS. He was one of the best DFS plays of the season.
And so was Kai Jones, other than the fact that Kai Jones is like 5K and was like borderline asinine to look at. Like, we got like 3K Moses Brown one slate. We got like 3,800 Moses Brown as a nuke the next slate. It's just like Kai Jones was preemptively priced for the upside that we saw with one Moses Brown. Shout out the GOAT.
Also, shout out to Chris Williams, left us a super chat, and he said that on mobile, it won't allow him to gift YouTube memberships, but just want to thank us because last week he had a slate where he won a showdown contest when he played Porzingis at the captain spot using our advice. And then also he said over the weekend he did a 6th and a 3rd place finish for DraftKings showdown contest. So Chris Williams on a little bit of a heater now. Absolutely love to see that, Chris. See if there's any questions that we got from the Discord for us here. And we do have a few that are sitting in here. First, it is Coach DFS wants to know, who are the top DK plays for GPPs today? Eric, who are the players that you are getting the most of at each position? Starting at point guard for me, that's going to be Jordan Hawkins. Actually, I'll go Jose Alvarado, so I could say Jordan Hawkins at shooting guard.
Yeah, there you go. Chalk, enjoy.
Yeah. Kind of unavoidable chalk, though. Yep. Sometimes the chalk is good. I think this is going to be one of those spots. Small forward. This is a little bit more difficult of a position to fill. Josh Giddey's super popular. I have a good amount of him, although with that said, I'm underweight to the field on Josh Giddey relative to what his ownership is. At small forward for me, right now, we've got Michael Porter Jr. projected for sub 20% ownership in a spot where there might not be Aaron Gordon playing, and then we already know there's no Jokic. For a position that's fairly weak, I think Michael Porter Jr. going a little bit overlooked by the field.
He's my answer, as well as from the Pelicans, Carlo Matkovic. Cool. It's hard to not like Carlo.
At power forward, that is going to be Kelly Olynyk for me.
It is definitely not Kelly Olynyk for me. Let's see. I'll go to Michael Porter Jr. at that one then for me.
All right. And then finally, at center, that is DeAndre Jordan for me. Obviously subject to change if he doesn't start, but as things stand right now, I'm pretty surprised that the expectation is that he's going to play extended minutes. He's the flat minute. He's not crazy popular.
Yep, I would want infinity of him if he is starting.
And we've got another super chat here from Jacob Dunn. He wants to know, who are 4 comfortable sub $4,500 players that you could roster on DK? So not Concar, Eric. Because I don't
that's an uncomfortable one. Again, sometimes, man, if you got to just kind of look at what could be as opposed to what is. And what is right now, I think it's very clear cut. Your best $4,500, sub $4,500 plays are Jordan Hawkins, number 1, DeAndre Jordan, number 2, and that is pending him starting. Carlo Matkovic is number 3 for me. I think number 4 is kind of the interesting one. If you wanted to get off the board, like I think Day'Ron Sharpe is interesting at 4,200. Like this probably isn't the slate to utilize that one. It's just nice that he's been having his minutes kind of repressed, but you get 80 out there. Could get really ugly here for Nick Claxton. I'll say Evis Missy. If he ends up playing 4,500 on the number.
That's not sub 4,500 though.
Okay, fine, Mr. Technical Tack.
We got to answer the questions as they're intended.
You answer number 4. You do something. Do something.
All right, fine. LeBron James. Because we can just use whatever salaries we want. There's no rules. Numbers mean nothing. It's lawless around here. I don't even like LeBron James all that much. But so for me, also kind of pending what some of these injury situations could be. But another one, Antonio Reeves. He is nearly the flat min. He's shooting guard, small forward eligibility. He's somebody who, if he ends up starting, could also look pretty good. So somebody else to throw out who actually is sub $4,500. Willie Jenkins left us a super chat. His wife's boyfriend and him finished back-to-back, and he minimaxed on the... And oh, look at you. Look at you. Good stuff. You guys must have been cheating and building the lineups together. Willie Jenkins. Once again, his wife's boyfriend and him finished back-to-back in the minimax GPP. Thanks for the sweaty finish. Shout out Willie Jenkins. Love to see when you guys find some success. And if you haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Next question is from Steven Leibowitz. Steven wants to know from our Discord channel, which once again, if you sign up for any of the packages here at Stokastic, you do get access to that Discord channel, including if you take advantage of the $1 MLB promo. Not only do you get access to any MLB package of your choosing for $1 for the first week of the season, Eric, but that also comes with Discord, because Discord comes with access to every single package that we have here over on the site. But Steven wants to know, hey guys, process question. When running sims and I'm playing 20 lineups, seems I frequently get 100% of players. Are you more likely to nerf some exposure to your top 20 lineups or go with the sims? So this is going to be a personal preference for you. I personally don't mind if I have 100% of a player. It doesn't happen all that often that I'm going to have 100% of a guy, but there are times where, like, let's say if we knew for sure DeAndre Jordan was starting right now, Eric, I would have 100% of him.
So would I.
He'd be in all my top 20 lineups. Like maybe over the course of 150 lineups, I'd have like 96% of him or something like that. But he would almost for sure be in 100% of my top 20. Do you do anything specifically different about 20 max versus 150 max contests?
Completely depends on the slate. Like I think trying to do a one size fits all and just talking about it, like I think that's what makes DFS interesting and why I hope you guys are tuning in every single day. We have 2 hours of programming that has been sustained over 5, 6, 7 years now here. 4.5 that Greg and I have been here together doing shows. It is truly because every slate has its own nuances and the data is the data. But at the same time, like sometimes you just don't have the value that you're looking for. Sometimes you have really sketchy value that you want to kind of run away from and you'd rather spread it out amongst that range. Sometimes you get Giannis Antetokounmpo or Nikola Jokic where it's just unavoidable. You should be paying up for the raw points. Like every single slate has its own nuance. So I'm not going to give you a one size fits all answer. What I'm going to say is that sometimes it is just fine to have 100%. Sometimes I would want to avoid it. When that is completely up to you and your risk tolerance.
And we are getting some more questions related to Anthony Davis and the situation here, or not with DeAndre Jordan, the situation with the Denver Nuggets, but this related to FanDuel. So here's our current projected starting lineup. It's Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, DeAndre Jordan. So we are expecting, at least as of right now, for DeAndre Jordan to start. But I want to do the same exercise we did on DraftKings, but for FanDuel, with some of our overall favorite plays at the position, because we did get a question related to the center spot and DeAndre Jordan. And if you look at the centers over on FanDuel, I mean, look at how underowned we have DeAndre Jordan projected in our boom bust data, where we have DeAndre Jordan 15% owned with a 36% chance to be in the winning lineup here. So yes, I still very much like DeAndre Jordan over on FanDuel, even though we could only roster one center. If he doesn't start, just run everything through the late swap tool and switch out of it. Eric, where we can only roster one center, what do you make of DeAndre Jordan for FanDuel?
Yeah, I love him. I think what makes this slate different as far as DeAndre Jordan is sometimes you'd have to be like, oh, where am I going to swap? How am I going to pivot? What am I going to do? You don't really have to do that right now. Like, you have so many lineup spots that are going to get eaten up by Pelicans and then an hour later by Nuggets that, especially on FanDuel where you're able to get up to 4 of these guys, you're going to play like 2-3 Denver Nuggets in a lot of lineups. Like, Jamal Murray is sub 8K there. Michael Porter Jr. is 6,400 on FanDuel. He's cheaper over there. Christian Brown, 5,900. Like, you're going to get to these guys, not even to mention Russell Westbrook, kind of the forgotten guy, although playing alongside Jamal Murray, not exactly ideal for him. And, you know, obviously came off the bench last time out, and that's kind of what we've got again. But if I have Aaron Gordon out, everybody should be getting a boost there across the line. So I would just be playing DeAndre Jordan. And in the event that he ends up out, not only do you have Vooch on the other side, or, you know, maybe being able to swap things around, but you have Boston, Sacramento, and Milwaukee, Phoenix, where I think that there are some viable centers that you can take shots on, specifically Kristaps Porzingis, where I think he's just coming back into a pretty sizable role here for Boston. Shouldn't shock anybody if Jaylen Brown ends up out. That's going to look even better for him here, but we're getting like the functioning starting 5, and we've still seen Kristaps Porzingis put up some massive games in some of these spots. So like with FanDuel, where you have the 2 other games, really don't worry about it so much.
Yeah, let's see what we have for the updated FanDuel ownership. And here are the most popular players over on the FanDuel side of things. We have over 60% ownership going to Jose Alvarado and Jordan Hawkins, over 50% ownership to Giannis Antetokounmpo and Jamal Murray. We've got Kelly Olynyk, 45% owned, Franz Wagner, 35% owned, Josh Giddey, 32% owned, 31% ownership to Jared Butler, just under 30% ownership to Paolo Banchero. Now, the FanDuel slate, it's different from the DraftKings slate, Eric. We got more games. We got more news to wait on. So considering the chalk that we have on FanDuel, is there anybody that you're viewing as over-owned as a popular piece over there?
Yeah, the Kelly Olynyk thing again. I know he's 5K. I wouldn't be full fading him by any means, and I'm not full fading him over on DK. I just have really big concerns over his minutes in this spot. Like, they really haven't been pushing any of these dudes. Now, this is different where Trey Murphy's out for the season. Zion's out today here, and you're looking at Bruce Brown out as well. There's just not a lot of guys left. And McCollum. Like, it's just absurd. But he played 25 minutes yesterday, and this is somebody that they traded for from his own country there, Toronto, Canada up there. Shout out Kelly Olynyk. But despite the fact that he couldn't break the floor there for Canada in the Olympics, he's a functional NBA player. I think he's a functional rotation piece, and I'd be surprised if he got up to like 30, 32 minutes here on a back-to-back. And I think that there's a pretty good chance that you see a floor if he plays fewer than 24, 25 minutes, and that is so live in this spot. And at DK at 5,300, that's tough. At 5K on FanDuel, it's even tougher, I think. But yeah, I think he's a little bit overowned because I do think that there are massive minutes for Makovich or Jeremiah Robinson Earl, or I mean, Mo Bamba is now there as well, I believe. Or no, he's still not there. He had his 10-day contract given up, but just there's enough there that they don't have to play him 30 minutes. Whereas like there's some other spots where it's like, oh shit, they have to play this guy massive minutes. Looking at you, Denver.
Yeah. So the rest of the pieces of chalk, once again, here it is over on FanDuel. If you guys want to look at what the highest projected owned players are right now, for me, and even though I get like a decent chunk right now, for me, it's a little bit of sticker shock, but Josh Giddey being a 9K player now, I get the counting stats have been absurd. I mean, you get some of these guys at this point in the year, it's like, all right, do I want to roster Josh Giddey, Quentin Grimes, or Giannis as my pay-up option? And you know, maybe this is just something where I look at the ownership and it's like I said, maybe like some sort of sticker shock. But I think there is potential that people go like, oh yeah, Josh Giddey against Denver went out, he scored 35 fantasy points. That's typically a pretty solid game for Josh Giddey, but would just be like a massive dud relative to this price tag. So I'm a little nervous of the Josh Giddey salary. It's just so high from where we normally see him.
Yep. Totally get it.
All right, let's see. Was there another super chat? Yes, we've got a couple of other super chats that have come in here. We've got here Chuck Deuces. Chuck Deuces ended up gifting 5 YouTube memberships. So thank you very much. We always appreciate everybody who supports the channel. So shout out to Chuck Deuces, 911, one of the regulars that we see around here, both in YouTube chat as well as over on playback. Jansen White says, won the $4 last night and took second in the $1 biggest NBA win to date. Thanks for everything you guys have taught me over the years. Hashtag EMAC for president. Look at this. Lots of winners over the weekend. I love to see it, Eric. Love to see it. So shout out to Jensen White. Big shout out there. And then another one, Chuck Deuces. I've shouted you guys out on Twitter, but I've won the Yahoo $200 to first 3 out of the last 4 days, plus double ups on DraftKings, and I've never given any love. So we wanted to leave us the super chat, give some memberships there. So Chuck Deuces, thank you for the support. We appreciate it. Also, for the guys, I see a Jeremy Jackson stat saying, how do I get to the playback? At the end of the show, I'll drop the link in, but it's really easy. It's just playback. I think
I literally posted it already.
TV/Stokastic. You can just type that into your search bar. But at the end of the show, I always drop the link into the YouTube chat as well. So you guys could just click on that and head on over to playback from there. But yeah, pretty easy. And, it's a free platform. Let's see what we have from Discord. We have a question from Trava Patch. Trava Patch wants to, this was the DeAndre Jordan question. M Grizzly wants to know, are you guys boosting anyone or doing anything to plan ahead for late news? Michael Porter Jr. for me.
All Denver. I've jammed a lot of Denver.
Yeah. Even if Aaron Gordon plays, I'm not going to be upset that I have lineups with Michael Porter Jr. in them.
Same.
So he's somebody, especially because it's a fairly weak position. I definitely like getting myself to some of Michael Porter Jr. Who are the other players that you want to be? I know you've talked about Concar. Who else do you like boosting from Denver here for this spot?
Yeah, kind of everybody in a Denver uniform that I project to be playing somewhat close to rotational minutes here. Zeke Naji a little bit. Again, DeAndre Jordan, I don't have to. I'm just getting a ton of him as is. I can turn that into a lot of Saric. He does have the power forward eligibility, that being Saric, where maybe if you're hand building out some lineups, you want to have the forward spot available and then have the utility be him and then kind of move things around with another piece. Shouldn't be that difficult because, everybody in Denver will look drastically different here if Aaron Gordon ends up out. But I've boosted Peyton Watson. I've boosted Concar, boosted Najee, and DeAndre Jordan is kind of left as is. But yeah, everybody else on Denver I'm just getting to.
Yeah, Michael Porter Jr., the primary one for me. Some of these other guys, I already get to a good amount of Jamal Murray as is without making any kind of adjustment. Russell Westbrook is $7,500, which he will absolutely be in play if he starts again and Aaron Gordon's out. But I don't know that I'm going to be playing as much Russell Westbrook as I had on some of these other slates, just because the price tag is kind of already there at that point. Same for Christian Brown. He's $6,000 now. I don't know that I want to have 40% of a 6K Christian Brown. Michael Porter Jr. is the one who stands out the most to me. But either way, I think that per Eric's point before, that there are a number of guys across the board who you could boost and would be looking better in a situation where Aaron Gordon doesn't play. Anything else outside of Denver that you're looking to boost? Because for me, it's really just Denver.
Yeah, really just Denver, because then if something happens with Philly, let's say we don't get a Kiki starting and we get Alex Reese, he's got power forward eligibility, 3,700. And let's say that, Ricky Council somehow starts there, 4,900. I'll be able to turn all of these Denver spots into Philly. So for me, it's just kind of one of these rolling slates where I'd rather just have all of that swappability just by having it stacked up in the last game there. We have 6 games here, 3 of them going right in 19 minutes here, 18 minutes here. And so half your slate is done with, but all of the most incredible plays on the slate show up later. I want to get to some of these studs early, whether it's Ant, who's officially in, a little bit of Luka because he's just 5-6% Luka, even though it's a terrible matchup. Didn't matter to Fred VanVleet there the other day, that's for sure. He had a lot of fun against Orlando. You've got Toronto, Washington, which is just garbage, absolute hot garbage. But overall, just by getting that Chicago-Denver game and getting to both sides of that one a ton, I'll just kind of mix in the Philly, New Orleans, Dallas, Brooklyn pieces as they fall in.
Injury news that we are still waiting on, because there are still a bunch of pieces that we don't really know what to make of. But we've got Malik Monk questionable, Aaron Gordon questionable, Jaylen Brown questionable, Yves Missi questionable, and then we've also got Sam Hauser questionable, in addition to a bunch of starting lineups like Denver's that could really go in any direction, which we see all the time at this point in the season. Pelicans, who the hell knows who the Pelicans are going to start? They could also go in whatever direction they want. They're going to be shorthanded. It stands to reason that everybody's going to have to play some amount of minutes that's available to them. But we don't know exactly what the starting lineups are going to be. So join the playback show with Josh and I after this one ends. We keep you guys abreast of all of the most recent information and news. We've got A super chat here from T. Willis. He's asking us a 2v2 question, and it is DeAndre Jordan and Giannis Antetokounmpo or Michael Porter Jr. and Scotty Barnes, Eric.
God, the Scotty Barnes piece. Good Lord. It's got to be Jordan and Giannis. Got to be.
Yeah, Jordan and Giannis for me. That's the direction I want to go.
I mean, even with RJ Barrett out, I just don't trust Toronto. Like, that's the thing that sucks is like his points props 19.5, his rebounds. Like, if you just didn't have him show up in the second half, would that shock you, Greg? Like, would it actually shock you if they were just like, oh, Scotty Barnes played the first half and they're done?
No, I mean, we've already seen something fairly similar to that. We saw they rested Jamal. They sat Jamal Shed out of a game because he was
Get off the shed. Get off the shed.
I think
it's the shed.
Dude, I don't even know what's the reference. Key me in.
That's what Will Ferrell, he did that sketch to book SNL. That's a famous story.
Huh?
Will Ferrell, the get off the shed bit from SNL. He used that in his audition.
All right. News to me. I'll look it up after this. I'll look it up.
It's fantastic.
I will look it up. Some more questions that we have coming to us from the Discord. Boy, another one here. Bando wants to know, is AD worth a shot on DK? He seems to be projected high with no ownership. What's our projection on Anthony Davis? He's not really projected. It's all relative, right? 44 fantasy points would be great if we're talking about Carlo Matkovic. 44 fantasy points, we're talking about Anthony Davis as a payout option and that upside presumably capped because his minutes are capped. I'm not going to be playing Anthony Davis, especially when you consider, like, we've got him pulling ownership today. Let me see. Yep. Do I have any Anthony Davis lineups?
Or I have zero. I actually just turned his projection to 0.
I have one out of 150 lineups with Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I want 0. And I think if you like instead of playing him in DFS, just go bet his double-double. It's like plus 175 at Fliff, plus 165 at DK. Weird that Fliff has the best odds that I saw on it, but I'd rather just do that than fucking play him in DFS and have no 30-minute upside.
We've got another question here. Michael Wallace says, last man in quickly before his fiance gets back. Scotty Barnes or Franz Wagner, Eric?
Oh, Franz Wagner by a mile.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, Wagner for me. I prefer the Wagner side. The next question we have here is from King Yusuf. King Yusuf wants to know, how do we feel about quickly on DraftKings, especially considering that he's one of the earlier locking players.
Not great, Bob.
At his, so here's where I feel better about somebody like Quickly than somebody like Barnes. Quickly's only $6,600, and obviously the matchup is great against the Wizards as well. Scotty Barnes, super expensive pay-up option. There's a good amount of downside there. There's a little bit of ceiling because of what the matchup is, and that there's no RJ Barrett. The guy I prefer to get my exposure to from Toronto, though, it's Quickly, Eric, because at that price tag, he actually can score a lot of points in a hurry. And I think he's more realistic to have a ceiling at $6,600 than Scotty Barnes is at $8,900.
Totally get it. I'm not getting to a lot. I got him in 10% of lineups, but I have 0 Scotty Barnes. So I'm 100% with you.
All right. The next question we have here, which I think is very relevant as we are 13 minutes away from lock. Who are the must plays in the first 3 games on the slate, Eric? And if anybody isn't aware, the first 3 games, Lakers Magic, Timberwolves Pacers, Toronto Washington, any must plays for you from those games?
Yeah, I think you have to play some Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner. They do everything for this team. We've seen this routinely. The Lakers are a good matchup for offense. Jackson Hayes is on the interior. They're giving up the 6th most points on the inside the paint here since they acquired Luka. Like, it totally makes sense. Trying to think of like other musts. I really don't find anything else a must outside of those 2, which just sounds insane to say, but like, I'm going to get to a little bit of, Cameron Johnson's later. I'm going to get to a little bit of Tyrese Halliburton, get to a little bit of Ant, getting to a little bit of LeBron, getting to a little bit of Luka. But the only priorities, it's so insane to say, but it's Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner.
If this is a question related to a single entry lineup, the answer is nobody. Like, there's nobody like a Jordan Hawkins level or like DeAndre Jordan if he was to start or anything like that. you don't have to have, if you're playing one lineup, you don't have to have exposure from the first 3 games on the slate. Now, there are definitely players that I like. A lot of them, the guys who Eric had just mentioned. I've got Paolo Banchero in a quarter of my lineups. I've got 10% of Franz Wagner. I've got 10% of LeBron James, which once again, like low priority. So I've got some exposure to these guys, but nothing I'm going to consider a must play for a single entry lineup or anything like that.
Fair. I will say, I think the most intriguing single lineup play of the early slate is Luka. Like, I think Luka is just such an interesting game theory because you can't reverse engineer your lineups later. And we could have starting at center a 3,500 Jeremiah Robinson Earl, a 4,400 Carlo Matkovic. For Denver, you could be getting a 3K DeAndre Jordan. You could have a Zeke Naji at 3,100. You could have Dario Saric at 3K. You could have Kankar at 3,500. Like, there are so many cheap plays coming up later that are already in our lineups. You could have even better ones that show up there that have more secure minutes and are projected for like 27, 28, because that's kind of where I'd have Matkovic in the event that he starts at least. That's probably like under projected, I would say. So I like the idea of Luka because I think if you go to the post-contest sims after the fact and you get so much value, he's going to look awesome in the post-contest sim.
Could be the case. We'll see. I'm slightly overweight to him. Nothing like crazy significant, but I do have Luka in right around 10% of lineups, projected for 6% ownership. Did find it a little bit hard to get to him, probably just because of LeBron coming back, the matchup, the pace of play, and all of that. But yeah, I do agree with you. If there's just a massive amount of value that opens up later, that's going to make Luka look better in the post-contest sims for sure. There's no doubt about that. Next question is from Daniels. What is the max amount of players that you'd be willing to have in a single lineup from the first 3 games on the slate? I mean, it's also not, there's nobody I'm jamming from the first few games. I doubt I have any lineups of more than 3 just for that reason.
Yep, agreed.
But also not because I'm going out of my way to do anything. It's just kind of how things show up. Like that's not where the best projected plays on the slate are. It's in the later part of the slate, which is also convenient because that's also what we're waiting on for injury news here. Clintonwood 83, any must plays from the early games for a single entry or cash? No cash games from the first 3 games on the slate. Fair to say that?
100%. Like that's like the foregone conclusion. I mean, I'm playing Luka in single entry. Everything I just talked about, I'm actually doing myself. So I don't feel like I'm just talking out my ass. Like I'm actually playing him in like the 100 or the 111, the 40, and just kind of moving on with my day. But in large field, I'm definitely going to let it rip, but I would play 0 of them if I were playing cash.
Pious Devil left us a super chat, wants to know, is LeBron playable at all? Yeah, he's playable, but if I'm playing one lineup today, single entry, LeBron wouldn't be in it. But if you're playing like 20 lineups, yeah, I think it makes sense to have LeBron in 1, 2, 3 of those.
100%. I have 20% LeBron, so I'm with you.
Note for Jason wants to know our highest owned players by position who lock in the first games. Okay, interesting. So once again, we're looking at players from the Lakers, the Magic, the Timberwolves, the Pacers, the Raptors, or the Wizards. So position by position, Eric, our most rostered players from early locking games. At point guard for me, that is Quickly. Yourself?
That is Luka.
Okay. At shooting guard, that is Anthony Edwards for me.
Going through. That's Ant for me.
At small forward, that is LeBron for me.
That is LeBron for me.
Power forward, Paolo Banchero.
It is Paolo Banchero.
And then at center, Alex Sarr.
It is Jakob Poeltl at 5%. I have nobody else at center.
Yeah, I mean, some of those are guys I just don't have very much exposure to, but question is the question. The next question here, it is from Pat Clay Tomstar. I feel like this has to be a recurring bit. Pat Clay Tomstar every single day wants to know what Mavericks players we're playing. Was he asking us about Warriors wins last year? Anyway, what Maverick guards are we playing today, Eric?
0 of them. They have Brandon Williams back. The usage is about to go in. I mean, I just jammed under 30.5 PRA for PJ Washington, for Spencer Dinwiddie. It feels so good getting Anthony Davis in there against Brooklyn in a slow pace matchup. Even a minutes cap there will not slow me down. I have zero guard interest. Max Christie's there. They have enough bodies. They have, Caleb Martin out, sure, but like Brandon Williams has been playing pretty darn well when given an opportunity there in Dallas. Like, I just can't imagine getting to anything. And Jaden Hardy back. So like disaster all around.
Yeah. So for me, it's the same. I don't have any Mavericks guards in 150 lineups. Right. It is 0% exposure to all of them at the moment.
Yep.
Master PJ, thoughts on Vooch? Is Vooch somebody who you are getting exposure to, Eric?
I will tell you here in a second. Yeah, I do have some Vooch, but obviously that is very subject to change. I don't even I have 28% Vooch. What that ends up being by 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific, the world may never know. Like, I have no clue what shows up at center because you have New Orleans, so much influx there with Missy, and then so much influx with DeAndre Jordan.
I have 13% of Vooch right now, but to your point, Eric, like if Jordan doesn't start and then Missy gets ruled out, like so much could end up changing at the center position. I've got 13% of Vooch at the moment, though. And that is going to do it for all the questions. We're caught up on them. One more time, I'll let you guys know to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, we've got our deals going on right now. In addition to our DFS deals, the $1 MLB promo with the code CYCLE, CYCLE, just $1 for any MLB package. We also have our 7-day free trial for Portfolio EV, which, by the way, if you guys ever want to be looking for Portfolio EV bets while we're doing the show here, that's why we've got screen sharing going right over on playback. It's just the board. The top bets for Portfolio EV, they're going to be showing up on the board at any point in time. So if you guys want to have YouTube open and you want to have playback open at the same time, get yourself some bets while you're watching here. So it'll be a good way to get yourself some plus EV bets. But then, of course, 7-day free trial. First 7 days totally free. We're so confident you're going to like the product. We made it free for the first 7 days just so you guys could try it out. All right. Chris Albers wants to know, did his super chat get read? I thought I read a super chat from Chris Albers. Oh, my bad. I didn't realize that you left 2 super chats. Okay. Yeah, we can do this. All right. He wants to know, DK plays chalk and GPP by position. Also, a Nuki wants to know. So we did our favorite plays by position, but we didn't go over our favorite contrarian plays at each position. So we could do contrarian options at each position. And then for nukes, Eric went with Vlatko Kankar before. I had Kelly Olynyk.
I'm changing it to Matkovich. I'm going to change it to Matkovich in the events that Missy's out. I love Matkovich today.
All right. Our favorite contrarian plays at each position. So we've gone over the guys we have the most exposure to. If we're going to go over some lower owned players we have the most of, starting for me at point guard is currently Russell Westbrook. But part of that's because he's only projected for 9% ownership. And that's probably going to go up in the event that you end up getting no Aaron Gordon. But for me right now, Russell Westbrook, he is in 20% of my lineups at 9% ownership. So that has me overweight to him. Favorite contrarian point guard, Eric?
Well, I would say Russell Westbrook because that's it. I'll go Luka again.
All right. At shooting guard for me, that is going to be, well, this is going to all end up being Denver players for me. So it would be Christian Brown, but otherwise Anthony Edwards.
Christian Brown. Otherwise, let's get something different. What do I have here? Franz Wagner.
Okay. At small forward, Michael Porter Jr.
Michael Porter Jr. by a lot.
At power forward, that would also be Michael Porter Jr. So is there another guy I like for really low ownership? I'll say Matkovich with you.
Being Carlo Matkovich.
And then at center,
I've got a grimy one.
Here's where it kind of gets hard because I'm playing a lot of the chalk at center and then some of that. I think DeAndre Jordan's the most under-owned player on the slate considering the information we know right now. So I'm just going to say DeAndre Jordan.
I'll just keep DeAndre Jordan because he's under-owned. Yep, we're going to stay. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because, again, I don't want to say anything from Philly that doesn't end up guaranteed to be starting. You could get Alex Reese, Adam Bona. It wouldn't shock me. Nothing shocks me from those two teams.
All right. Now, finally, Eric, who could potentially ruin your night today? We've only got about 90 seconds left to go here. Then Josh and I are going to head on over to playback. If you haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. who could just absolutely destroy your night that plays basketball, not, like people in your real life?
Yeah, it's more people in my real life than in my life. But Jordan Hawkins, Jose Alvarado, Carlo Matkovic, anything in a Pelicans uniform that doesn't do well and could take away, if we don't have that Denver news, to lineup spots that could have just been all of those guys. I will also say DeAndre Jordan not starting would be very, very bad, but you need to have some kind of a plan in place. Although you have so much swappability, it shouldn't be a stone cold disaster like it would be on some other slates to have this one island game, not knowing that news. Plus, I think Saric would be like your most likely next starter. And I think just at a flat 3K should be pretty swappable. Again, Sarge didn't play yesterday. I think, probably just using him up for the back-to-back, and now you switch to the other guy here. But there are so many pieces of news. You guys need to go to playback right now. There's nothing you should be doing if you are playing NBA DFS right now other than watching that show, reacting to lineups, reacting to how box scores are going in these first games, and have a great night.
Yeah, and once again, players that we are still waiting on injury news for. Malik Monk is questionable. Aaron Gordon is questionable. Jaylen Brown is questionable. Yves Missi is questionable. And these starting lineups for a bunch of these teams, that could be literally almost anything. So come join Josh and I over in playback. Shit's going to go down over the course of the next hour. If you haven't done it yet on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and that playback link, it is being dumped into the chat right there. So for all the people who are asking us, who is it? Who is it? Or where is it that we could find playback? You just click on that link and you join us over there. See you guys on playback. Good luck tonight.